Welcome in, everybody. It's semi-time. Are you excited? I have with me the great Nicholas Gibbs from Investing Against the Grain. He's going to be joining me on this live stream. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. How you been, bro?
I'm doing great, man. This is an exciting day that nobody's really talking about except for us.
I know. A couple nerds.
Yeah.
Just chilling. We'll have more guests coming through the event as well. We have Alexandra Mertz on deck. We might have a few others. We also have potentially Emmett Peppers. He's going to be joining us from the event itself. And I asked him to try and get Elon. So we'll see if we get him on the stream. That would be freaking pretty cool. So we'll see if we can make that happen. Yeah, so make sure you can hear us okay. Make sure you can see us okay. In the comments, let us know where you're from. Drop your location, where you're tuning in from. And yeah, let's get the show started. Yeah, dude, how you doing? What are you looking for? You know, I think with all the Twitter stuff and all the crazy Elon stuff as of late, this thing has gone completely under the radar. And I feel like there's a lot of implications here. So what are you thinking? What's going through your mind here?
You know, I was really excited for a one more thing moment, kind of like we had last semi day. And I was on my way to pick up some food for the wife and me before hopping on here. And I was listening to people on Yahoo Finance, and they were predicting the Roadster or whatever. I'm like, you know what? If they're predicting it, it's not going to happen. Now I'm like all like upset that like Yahoo had to say anything just to be like, what? Like, it's not going to be exciting now, or Elon probably will just scrap it just because they said something. but nah, that's the one thing I'm really I don't know. I'm a sucker for the over optimistic and get let down, but hey, it's fun to get overly optimistic. What about you? What are you looking forward to?
Dude, I think you and I sort of have spoken a lot, and you know, I think we're cut from the same cloth. Just, you know, optimistic sometimes to a fault, and I can't, like, literally in my head I'm like, temper your expectations, right? So I'm going from, they're going to show the semi, the Roadster, and the $25,000 car to like, okay, they're going to show the semi and something else. But if you look back to the other events that Tesla has hosted, like these delivery events sort of things, I think it was very focused to that product. It was when they were unveiling a thing, you were going to have like a one more thing moment. But at the same time, like we've talking about before, the last time Tesla has unveiled a new product was, I mean, I guess Tesla bought technically-ish in the recent AI day, but it was sort of shown before. It was really, you know, before they had to go to the Cybertruck for a car, right? That's 2019. Yeah. So, yeah, I would be shocked if we see anything but the semi, but who knows, man? This is like a perfect setup for a surprise because nobody is expecting it, you know? So, yeah, but I'm ready to be disappointed from that front. The semi itself is going to be sick, you know, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, not to take away from the semi. I mean, that alone is just a huge deal, right? Like, there's no doubt about that. But you take a sip of wine and she pops up. What is this?
Cheers.
What is this? That's
my wine fairy.
The first thing I see is his glass of wine, and I'm going, oh my God, he's gonna sleep by the time the semi.
No way. Not this time.
Did you see yesterday? We were watching you all the time, and you were like really struggling, right?
It was I was trying so hard to figure out what the hell they were saying during the technical portion, to the point where I'm like, I think my Dura is breaking. Like, that was, you know, I didn't know what the hell a Dura was. I learned it on the thing, and I'm like, yeah, my brain's literally falling out of my ears. But it was still, you know, it was still so fun.
Okay, will he remember the name? Because, you know, at the beginning you were like, oh, Christine, oh, bye, Christine, hi. And then at the end it was like a little bit less, a little bit less.
Yeah, I know.
Hi, Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing better now.
Good. How is married life?
Oh yeah, married life is it's very similar to not married life.
Not married. Okay.
Yeah. Nothing really changed for us. Just title, just legal forms.
Good. Good to have you back. And you enjoyed Greece, right? Because last time we spoke, it was before you left for your honeymoon. Okay.
Yeah. Last time we spoke, it was just before. So yeah, Greece was always amazing. Perfect weather, perfect time, people, and we did a little island hopping, so it was fantastic.
I saw a couple of those pictures. You had this terrace with the pool, right? And I was like, what's this? He's a millionaire already. There we go.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
What are you looking for, Alexandra, in this event?
I'm looking for Cindy. How is producer wife? Hi, Cindy.
She's not gonna say anything.
She's gonna walk
too
out
shy.
the back of the semi, laptop in hand.
What am I looking for? Can you imagine that? I'm 56 years old. I've never even, put a foot into any truck or anything similar to a truck. And now I'm all excited because there's a semi coming. Isn't that crazy how the world changes?
It's insane. It's completely nuts.
Yeah.
It's like
Have you ever driven a
Go ahead.
truck?
I've never driven a truck. Like, did you drive a truck?
Nick?
I've driven like a 20-footer U-Haul, but that's not a semi.
Yeah.
Like it's
No.
a semi. You're double clutching. Like that's intense.
And I was looking at those videos. They look so smooth, right? They look as if they're driving and accelerating like a car now. Nothing of the boom, 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 slow motion that we're used to.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's one of those things Tesla's so good at, taking something that previously folks just weren't even like who gets, like you said, like who gets excited about a semi? Who gets excited about like upgradable monkeys yesterday? Like people are cheering about like the most nerdy stuff, and I'm like, this is completely nuts. It's absolutely insane. Alexandra, on your end, maybe you might have to change the video thing. There's delay from when you're speaking, so you may have to tweak a setting.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Okay, you know
Just
what I
give me a
do?
heads
I
up.
get out and come back in and try to get it. Okay.
Okay, let's just try that. Perfect. Yeah, man, it's she makes such a good point. It's like the sort of hype behind the Tesla products is so unique. You would think that, for example, who's the biggest, I think, semi truck manufacturer in the US is Freightliner, as an example. Does Freightliner have a live stream at 7 p.m. Central that's going to be beamed to millions of people? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's such a weird phenomenon.
Tesla is their own thing. I mean, nobody else is. Like, it's I don't even know how to say it. It reminds me so much of not to get cliche here again, and with all the Apple stuff, but it's just like Apple. I mean, it's like when everybody would be like, oh, well, these other companies are going to jump in, they're going to do the same thing. It's like, you don't understand. People don't want to buy these other phones. They want to buy the latest technology. Like, I was just reading something about Mercedes giving like 20-30% discounts for their electric vehicles in China now. They can't give them away.
That's
and so
insane.
and why is that? Well, because people know Mercedes doesn't have the latest tech. It's Tesla or it's NIO or it's BYD. It's not Mercedes. It's not BMW. So, yeah, I don't know. Things are just different. And once you're seen as the innovator, I feel like it's over for the other companies. They'll be around. They'll do stuff, but there's nothing like this ecosystem that Tesla has for themselves.
Yeah, you're so right. We got Monroe live in the house. Corey, I sent the invite link to your DM on Twitter. Dude, come join us. Open forum. Have a good time. Bring a drink if you have one. And if not, that's okay too. I'm sure you have a full schedule, but if you have time, dude, you're more than welcome. Come join us. Let us know where you're from. Let us know what location, if you want to tell us. And then producer wife, bring up some of the locations as we get them from the folks. And obviously, thank you all so much for joining us. We have 1,300 people joining us already. You could have just went to the Tesla link and you chose to come here. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, man. Seriously, I'm very excited for this. We got people from Poland. Look at this. Very international audience usually. And then whenever I say that, there's like a whole host of people. Uruguay, phenomenal. Did they make it to the World Cup? I think they did. New Zealand again, perfect. Look at these international places. How many of these have you visited, Nick? I've been there.
I've been to Poland. I've been to Uruguay. I've lived in New
Andrew
York.
Yang. He ran for president. We have a former presidential nominee in the house. Sweden.
I have not been to Sweden. That's definitely on the list.
Likewise.
Have not been to Taiwan. Well. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like this game.
Yeah, right? Netherlands?
I've been to Netherlands.
How we doing, Alexandra?
I'm fine. I don't know whether you hear me more simultaneously now.
It's still delayed. I don't know if what's your video settings set to? Is it 480?
Yeah, it's 480. But you know what I'll do? I'll close all the rest. It may be a bit heavy on my
Might be that, yeah.
internet.
If you have 1,000 tabs
And
open,
give
that
me a
might be
Give me a
impacting
couple
it.
of minutes, and then
Ooh, pura vida.
that's
Sorry.
sort of my thing. That's sort of my thing. There we go.
All good. Germany. Oh boy.
Oh, there's some Germans.
Germany.
Oh, I hope you're.
How do you feel?
It's horrible.
Tell us how you feel.
It's just horrible.
Yeah.
Devastated. I mean, I have the French at home, right? So the kids obviously now they're completely French. This morning they may have still been half German, but now they're completely French.
They've switched
And
allegiances.
they're like, I mean, usually they're not allowed to come in my office when I work, right? They're obviously grown up now, but you have no idea how motivated they were to come into my office once the dogs are cute. Once the Germans were out, and then I went to watch it on TV, and I mean they were all crying on the bench. What's good to cry on the bench? Now it's too late, idiots, right? I mean it's all good, but don't cry on the bench in the end. I was like, really pissed off.
Yeah, it was a surprise, and I was surprised that Japan also props to them because both games, and we'll get back to semi talk here in a second, I promise y'all. But it was just so fascinating to watch Japan. Both games that they won, they were down at the half. And then they came back and won both games. So and then if Spain would have tied them, Germany and Spain would have gone through. Yeah.
Exactly. They nearly eliminated Spain as well. Can you imagine? They were
Whoa! No. Yeah, hold on. Hold on.
You're
talking to the Spaniards. Don't forget.
Yeah. Let's not hyperbole.
You're only number 2. You're only number 2 in that pool. Come on.
You guys scored what in the 80th minute to tie the game?
I know.
That's not almost beating us.
Oh my God. World Cup, man.
Yeah, but Japan really got our respect because their supporters were so nice. From day one, they were cleaning the stadium. The players,
Yeah.
I'm good for them, I have to say.
That was amazing to see those pictures and everything. Man, we need more of that. More of that, more love, more peace.
No.
Yeah.
Agreed 100%.
More cleaning up the stadium. I should tell that my kids actually. More cleaning up the rooms.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like the tragedy of the commons, right? It sucks. People should leave everything better than how they found it.
It's true.
True. There we are.
Very, very true. Very, very true. How do you think Elon's going to sound at this event? I think he's been running around like crazy. He was at Apple headquarters on Tuesday. Then yesterday. You're right.
Right before the event.
Yep. And then later that day, he went to Neuralink, and now he's going to be delivering semis to Pepsi. What do you guys expect from the event here, from Elon specifically?
Do you really expect anything else than semis? I mean, probably a couple of semis, but I mean, I don't expect a Cybertruck, or I don't expect anything. Oh, there he goes again, Nick. Oh my God.
I do, but I know I'm wrong, but I do.
Always hoping for the best, right? Can't settle with a little bit less.
Eternal optimism.
I just hope, in a serious note, I just hope. All right, maybe I'm joking a little bit. I hope Elon doesn't show up with a Diet Coke. That's all.
Yeah. And did you see that video that Coke brought out with their Toyota trucks, right? Did you see that today?
No.
So this morning Coke published a video with electric trucks they have branded, obviously Coca-Cola, made by Toyota. So I'm like, we spoke about it yesterday with Farzad. You saw that night table with the Diet Coke on it, and today it's Pepsi.
Oh my God!
How crazy!
Can you find that, producer wife? Find that link, that video of I haven't seen that yet. Yeah, it's another thing too, where there you have these.
If I send it to your DM,
oh yeah,
Cindy see it?
Or the private chat too, the private chat as well. You can do that. And just a heads up, we still have delay from your end. So if you close all your tabs and you did everything you can, it is what it is. We'll just we'll roll with the punches.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. No need to apologize.
It's 10 times better than the stream from last night from Neuralink. That was so bad, so pixelated.
the worst, right?
They can make cars drive, but they can't figure this out.
True. That's true.
It's hilarious.
What was the thing? I think Alexandra was giving them grief for their audio quality. At
Yeah,
the,
the
at
earnings
the Tesla
call.
calls,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, that was so bad.
Yeah.
That was just the worst.
It's very hard to sort of. That's the one thing that I learned while I was there is the product and the technology they use for their products is world class. Literally second to none. Hard for others to catch up, right? You can, hyperbole after hyperbole. I mean, I can keep going here for 1,000 years, but it's super scrappy. It's still a very scrappy company internally. So it's one of those things where I'm sure the logic is, well, do we really have to spend money on audio quality and the call if that money could be better served throwing it into the production line or building up our cash reserve so that we can build more gigafactories, right? That's how they think. Even though it might be like literally like you just add a Blue Yeti like for $100 in the middle of the table. They're like, well, that $100 could be used better somewhere else, you know? It's fascinating to think about just how they're still so picky. You know, they're still so picky about this stuff. Or they could just be like, we don't care. We're not even thinking about it. You know, we need somebody to tell us that it's important. I don't know.
Or they could just tape some cardboard to the walls. Like that's free.
For the reverb. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hey, so, all right. Pepsi or Coke?
Coke, easily. Yeah.
Alexandra?
Mineral water. Sorry, I don't drink any soft drinks. I never did.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I'm Pepsi. I'm a Pepsi guy.
Why? Why Pepsi?
Yeah, everyone says
There you
that.
go.
Everyone
So
says
weird.
that. It's sweeter. It's sweeter. I like the sweetness.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
I like that. Like,
I
I don't know if it's like bitter or like, you know, that caramely taste that Coke has. I feel like it's just, I don't know. It goes down smoother for me. It's that, I don't know. It's got the fizz there. Water. Yo, Corey.
All right. Yeah.
Shout out to Corey. So Corey is the one that's manning the Monroe Live account right now. Dude, he looks good. He's put in a lot of time. I don't know if you've been watching any Monroe Live videos lately, but props to Corey. Everybody, give a shout out to Corey in the comments, man, because he's been freaking putting in the work and it shows. Hell yeah, get after it. Cheers. Have a drink to yourself. Give yourself
But water.
Yeah,
it
but
better
just
be water.
Yeah, you're right. And then in the comments, let us know what your preference is, Coke or Pepsi. You did it, Corey.
You led.
We're just gonna call out Corey
man.
here for his genius.
All right. Forget the event. I want to read these comments. They're funny.
Thank you all so much for joining us. We're almost at 2,000 viewers already. This is like insane.
Amy.
We started these for fun. You know Amy?
She lives in my hometown, Satellite Beach. So Cape Canaveral area.
That's awesome.
Where Warren Redlick lives now. Yeah.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun being part of these events, especially when we have more viewers, because the comment section is always so entertaining. And then anytime we go live with some of these, I think yesterday during the Neuralink event, when it got super technical, the comment section was a riot. Like and there was a point there where I was just reading the comments instead of paying attention because everybody was making so many great freaking puns and jokes and everything. I'm like, I love Neuralink, but that may have been more entertaining. The comment section.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'll be honest. Oh,
thank you, Darby. Appreciate the super chat. Get Corey on the stream. Hello, everyone. Look at Nick with his live stream etiquette. My God.
Yeah,
what a professional.
Yeah. Hey, on that note, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. They're going to be somewhere supposedly around here.
Plug your channel while you're on. We got almost 2,000 viewers.
Yeah, I suck at that. Investing against the grain. If you like to talk about money and Tesla and engineering, that's your channel. I'm an engineer, by the way. I don't know if I should say that. I don't like talking about myself like that.
As an engineer, there's a lot of claims around here. Let me pull up your there you go. We got you there. Let me pull up your YouTube for those that are not familiar. Investing against the look at this handsome fella. Look at this. Beautiful couple.
Yeah.
Investing against the grain. Make sure you check him out. Nico does incredible work. Seriously, one of the best YouTube channels for me when I'm thinking about really getting the take of somebody who knows what they're talking about. Highly recommend it. As an engineer with an engineering background, there's a lot of claims around how the Tesla Semi is impossible, how the range is, it's not going to be achievable. How do you think about that? How do you sort of process that information when people like, I think Bill Gates and others have come out and said, hey, this is like a pipe dream. What goes through your mind?
Yeah, so the truth is I don't know enough about the Semi to speak intelligently about it. But from a high level, there's like a really large period of time where it seemed impossible to ever have something like an electric car that could go mass distance with weight because how were you going to hold all of that electricity, right? People thought about capacitors, super capacitors. I think Elon might have I don't know. I don't want to make something up, but I think Elon might have initially thought about doing something like that when he was younger. But anyways, the problem was were the batteries. And now with, all the new technology, we have the batteries, all the innovation and the rapid innovation we see with them. For me, I don't see why you would say that a Semi couldn't do it. I mean, I get the whole load distribution part of it, but at the same time, you have bigger motors, you can carry more load, especially if they find a way to make it so it's not it's part of the structure. Like if they can set it up so it's part of the structure, so it's not like it's carrying the battery load as well. I don't know. To me, it seems like I would not naturally just say this is impossible. So it's weird for me to hear people say that. Again, my background is in mechanical electrical engineering. So this is the kind of stuff that, if I really dived into it, I'd understand. But I can look at it at least at a high level enough to not have the confidence just to say that's impossible. So to me, it's like, wow, you have some brass just to out of nowhere say it's impossible. It's like, I don't know. But I also don't like to say things unless I know. So
very engineer review. What do you, Alexandra, from your standpoint as somebody who follows, I don't think you have an engineering background, but you're very much in tune with what Tesla does, right? From an engineering perspective, how do you view the Semi from where you stand?
Well, I mean, it's obviously incredible that it worked, and that it worked, I found relatively quickly. I know that people expected this much earlier, but I don't, I never had that expectation. And if I'm correct, and again, correct me, I'm certainly not a specialist on this. So this is not now based on the 4680, right? This is still on the 2170, or even a smaller battery, because I saw one of the YouTubers that seems to be, very much into battery capacities and all that they use this old 18, whatever it is, that 5 numbers battery that 650 exactly, that seems to keep the energy denser. I mean, again, don't even try to understand what I say, because I don't understand it. But that this car is able to be doing 500 miles without charging, and its biggest competitor, which is the Nikola one, right? Which is the prowess of Bosch and everybody else helping them trying to come up with something competitive, can do a maximum of 330 miles, but needs 4 times longer to charge, which is obviously an issue because these are commercial trucks that have to be turned around and sent off again. So not only do they not have a third of their, only 2/3 of their range, but they also need 4 times longer to charge it. And so, and the whole look of it, I mean, it seems to be the example again that they started from bottom up, just from first principles. Let's forget anything we know about trucks, and let's just, make something that's going to be comfortable for the driver. Sitting in the middle is obviously completely revolutionary. Having a cabin that has a completely other display. I mean, the truck driver is now going to have 2 screens. Soon he's not going to even do anything else than supervise the car, right? And the whole aerodynamics, everything has been rethought like nobody else did. These old trucks, especially the US ones, they look the same than 60 years ago. And the European ones are not aerodynamic at all, being so rectangular cubes, whatever, being, not smooth into any wind or any other natural influences. And so I mean, it's just the whole Pruis again. And I mean, honestly, I would have the money, I'll buy one and transform it into an RV. I just think this is such a beautiful thing. And it looks so smooth. What I'm the most astonished about is when I watch it is how it just accelerates like a Tesla car. It doesn't give you the feeling at all of something heavy, of something that needs, has a delay. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them and seeing them on the road soon. I've never seen one in. Have you seen any of you have seen any in real?
No, I haven't seen any.
Yes.
No.
They had it at the investor day, at the shareholder meeting.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
They had one outside.
Did you go inside?
Inside of it? No.
Okay.
No, it was hot. I was hot. It was really hot, and it started to rain, and I was trying to get my little rib sandwich and to go back inside as fast as possible. So it's like I was sweating, getting rained on. And I'm
Welcome
like,
to Texas, baby.
Yeah. So
did you ever listen to Xander, with whom I'm with Herbert and Christian Xander, the cyber bulls, because he actually took out a mortgage with his business partner and they bought one and they're going to receive one soon. So I think that, and they're putting a whole business model behind it, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah, no, I love listening to them. I feel watching the three of them is like watching a therapy session is what it feels like sometimes. It's like family therapy session. It's like watching the three of them. It's like, oh, this is like this is a show. It's like a comedy show almost. But I don't know how much analysis you guys have done on any of this, but how long does it take for a regular internal combustion engine semi to fill up? And do you guys have you looked into the laws as far as how long you can drive before you have to stop and sleep?
11 hours.
11 hours?
Yeah, pretty sure it's 11. It might be different by
driver?
country. Yeah, I think the driver after 11 hours continuous or total in a 24-hour period, they're mandated to stop until the next 24-hour period. I think that's how it works. If there's any truckers, because I'm actually surprised there's a few number of folks that are in this trucking industry that listen to the channel. Do confirm for us that's the case. I believe it's 11 hours. It might also change by state. Somebody says Cali is 8 hours. Not surprised to hear that. So it might be different. 11 hours is a lot of driving. Yeah.
Hold on. So can we clarify? So you can only drive 11 hours in a day?
I believe so.
Okay. So how far
and then you
can
have
you
to
go?
rest for 24?
No, it's 11 driving per 24-hour period.
Yeah.
I believe that's how it works. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how far can you go in 11 hours?
I mean, let's do some
60,
quick
70
math,
miles
right?
an hour?
Is that what
Not
you think?
even.
70 miles an hour?
60,
Probably,
60,
right?
70.
Maybe 60.
So
Yeah,
is it-
600
well,
miles.
Yeah, so 60 times 11, 660 miles. So, yeah, so that's interesting with that 500 fully loaded, and that's assuming you're going to be fully loaded. But I also wonder if that, is that assuming a flat terrain? Is that assuming hills? I mean...
Sure. And the other thing is that when I tell you they charge 4 times quicker than the Nikola, which is the second best in class, all the other ones are much lower in range and much slower even. That's a charge to 70%. So 70% of 500 is 350, which is about half. So that would mean you have to charge once in the middle of your 11-hour session. But I think I just saw that somebody said, yes, you can do 11 hours, but not more than 8 hours without a rest.
Oh, really? Oh, well, that explains a lot then.
If it's 8 hour is 480, and then you have the rest the same time you charge. Right? I mean, I'm just making up numbers.
I mean, as long as it doesn't, it would break the formula though if you have to rest when you drive, when you should be driving. I think, and what's one of the dirty secrets about the trucking industry. So I've worked in logistics and supply chain basically my whole career. Drivers sometimes don't drive 11. Like they game it a little bit to squeeze as much as possible from the route. So It's not common and it shouldn't be happening, but it does happen from time to time. From at least the places, not necessarily Tesla, but like, it's not like Tesla owns freaking the truckers. The truckers are all owned by their own companies, but
Sure.
it's common,
They just
but it's safe.
contract them.
It's the safe thing to do is drive for 11, rest for 10. So somebody in the comments said drive for 11, rest for 10, which I believe that's actually what it's supposed to be. So,
okay.
Yeah. And when I was
and how much and how long do they? How many liters or gallons of gas do they get into? I mean, obviously the huge truck, and but it also eats up a lot of diesel or whatever they put in there. So the question is, I mean, it is gonna be cheaper electric wise, but can they just go to any charging station? 250 kilowatt, or are they going to have special charging stations now for these?
It's going to be that. It's going to be the special places where they have to. So the infrastructure is going to have to be built out. Yeah, megawatt charger or whatever they'll call it. I think I know what's wrong with the delay, Alexandra, because your video's on time. I think it's your audio. Try restarting OBS if you're on OBS and see if that.
I am on OBS. Okay, what I'll do, I'll get out, I reboot the whole computer, and then I'm back.
Perfect. I'm pretty sure that's going to fix it. All right, we'll see you in a little bit. Perfect. The infrastructure build out for the megawatt chargers for the semis. I've seen concerns around how people say, well, this is a big task. This is a big task, right? But you really think about it though, truckers, most of their drive is through states that have so much land, so much land, and the infrastructure necessary for them to really achieve that is no different than the existing truck stops, right? So instead of having the place be outfitted with, say, 30 nozzles, swap 2 of them out for electric chargers at some spots to begin with, and then while you do that, start building out the charging infrastructure for the semis as you sort of build out this thing. Do you think there's going to be any issues there? I really don't think so, man. I think the infrastructure stuff is super overblown. Yeah.
So first, they're already building it out. They've been building it out. So I mean, they're 2 steps ahead on that one. But 2, it's not going to be any harder than what it was for the SYX, the sexy vehicles. It's not going to be any, like, that is way harder than doing this for semis. Because to your point, semis kind of go only in a few destinations, right? For the most part, when they like charge up or fill up, so a lot of it is right off the highway or on the highway or way stations. And I think you could probably put more charging stations in more unique, like random little rest stops on the highway. You could probably put some there, and I think there's more flexibility with electricity.
Yeah, I agree.
And you don't need as many. Like worldwide, you don't need as many as compared to like for general vehicles.
I mean, you might once the 100% of the. So here's the interesting thing about the semi business, though. So some of the calculations, if you sit down and do the math, this thing could be at parity or cheaper than rail. So once you have that, then the number of semis you have on the road probably double, triple, right? Maybe even more. They might 10x, right? Because a train can pull probably like 150 containers. I don't know. Like, it can pull a lot. So once the cost per mile per container goes down to the level where the semi is cheaper, then I think it's going to force electric semi companies to crank these out, or force the rail industry to figure out how to get cheaper. Because the thing about rail is that it's the cheapest option by far over land, but it's also the longest, So if the semi becomes a cheapest option and it's probably 2 or 3 times faster than rail, then the economics break, completely. Yeah. So how do you think about that?
The only thing is, what if there's something that weighs more than 81 tons?
Is there anything that would weigh more than 80? Well, I guess there are things, but what percentage?
I'm not saying that there's a lot, but
you're just hypothetically saying
that's something to think about. Yeah,
sure.
But But yeah, could you imagine if like they got rid of all the rail, and instead of like getting rid of like trains, like they get rid of trains, like that happens. But imagine if they just paved over all the rails and just had that with semi-paths now, autonomous semi-paths that would go.
Be crazy.
That'd be
completely
insane.
crazy. I think when I worked at Tesla, dude, I remember like nothing rode full. You know, like at the 82,000 pound limit, not even close. We would hit the cubic capacity before we would hit the weight capacity. The only thing that would hit weight capacity may have been the HV batteries, like the batteries that go under the car. But even those, see if I remember how many we had in a trailer. I think we could fit 4 high, 4 deep, so 16, and each battery weighs like what, 2,200 pounds, right? So 22. This is not even. It's like 30,000 pounds. Not even close.
Yeah,
you know, it's not even close to 60. You know,
normally that's done intentionally with things like for example, like all right. So I've worked on ships, and on ships we have all kinds of things that all have weight limits from cranes to straps to come-alongs, chains, like everything has all these different types of weight limits, and then you have testing that you have to do on them, and the allowable capacity isn't the actual or the rated capacity isn't the actual capacity. The rated capacity is always like 70% of what the actual capacity could be, but you're not allowed to exceed that 70%. Right. And that's just like a risk mitigation thing. So so that makes a lot of sense. 81 tons or 82 tons may be like the max allowable.
It's gross.
Oh, gross.
And that's the other thing too. It's gross. So it's total, right? It's not the load. It's semi plus trailer plus load. Yeah.
But the point is like you don't ever want to push anything to the max on anything. Right? Yeah. I'd rather be at 85%, 80%, just in case. Like you don't know what could happen. The only thing I would say that differs on that would be at least on ships would be when you're filling up anything like a ballast tank or a fuel tank, you want those to be pressed up, because when they're not pressed up and they're down, you have all of this whooshing and washing, and that lack of or that slack room that can have big effects on your buoyancy and your balance. But that's a rare thing.
It makes sense. And I mean, also the heavier your load is on a truck, like the tougher it is to stop. You know, like the last thing you want is to have a semi truck going down a hill with say a 4% grade or a 3% grade or whatever, and you're at 82,000 pounds and your brakes fail. You know, like that's why they downshift to third or fourth gear and try to cap it at 45 so the momentum of the engine slows it down or whatever. So but that's where things like an electric motor and regenerative braking and things like that become really, really powerful. We have a special guest, producer wife. Let's bring in the special guest. Whoa, who's this gentleman?
What's up, guys?
Dude?
How you guys doing? I'm in the spot where
event.
Yes. How you guys doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. I'm in the spot where it says you can photos and video allowed only in this area.
Oh shit. Damn,
so
very specific.
I'm in that spot right now. It's basically looking at the existing cars. But I'll turn around, you can kind of see. But there's a whole bunch of areas, on either side. There's like I don't know if you remember the Gigafactory or heard about the Gigafactory Texas tour. They have you go on to learn about different aspects of building the car and stuff, where they have kind of a miniature version of that here for the Tesla Semi. And so we went through that first. And then there's a whole other area where they're serving hors d'oeuvres and drinks and getting ready for Elon to come on stage.
That's awesome.
Any nuggets from the tour?
I've been trying to get information out of various engineers that I've met and talked to, but no one seems to know anything in terms of potential supplies. Like, Argos is good as yours. Yeah, it seems like that's probably the way it should be, or the way it is. Yeah.
Okay. What do you expect to see at this event? So it's kind of the vibe. You got there about an hour ago, Emmett? Something like that?
Yeah, I got here a little over an hour ago. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like a lot of customers are here. A lot of people that are like businesses that are going to be customers or that have a bunch of trucks on order maybe, and there's some other retail investors I've met that won the raffle, and then a lot of Tesla engineers coming from like Fremont, Palo Alto, even here to help run this event tonight.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you guys? I haven't been on social media a whole lot. What's the latest? Any news? Any headlines coming up on there?
I haven't really checked Twitter in the last hour. Let me pull up Elon's feed real quick here. I don't think I've really seen anything. There's a couple of videos on my home feed here from the event. Yeah, nothing groundbreaking yet. Do you think there's going to be a surprise today, Emmett, or are you not getting that vibe? What kind of vibe are you getting out there?
I'm not getting that vibe, but that's all the more reason I think there will be. I don't know. I'm hopeful. Too optimistic. I think the surprise would be like the Tesla Roadster 2.0 finalized, first 5 deliveries. People were under NDAs and they couldn't talk about it. Like maybe some of the early investors in Tesla are getting like Steve Jurvetson type people or something. Are getting the first few Founder Series Roadsters 2.0s. That would be my best guess for a surprise if there is any, but I have no idea. What do you guys think?
We're the same boat, man. Like we were literally talking, we sound like 3 peas in a pod because like both of us are like trying to temper our expectations, and we're too over optimistic, and then you're throwing more fuel in that fire. You're like, yeah, I think something's gonna happen. So I'm like, now I'm super excited. We're gonna see the $25,000 car. We're gonna see the Roadster. We're gonna see finalized Cybertruck. Everything's gonna happen.
Yeah. At the very least, I think Elon's gonna outline his vision for the Tesla Semi and how big it actually is of disruption, with the electric semi trucks. And I think, he's going to outline how it could disrupt the rail industry and so many other things, like remove so much carbon from the atmosphere because semi trucks are such a big part of that and so forth. So I think at the very least, that's what's going to happen. That's probably most likely the only real signal from this event, is just him kind of reiterating or clarifying that kind of vision for the Tesla Semi, in my opinion. But hopefully there's more. There's something else extra unexpected. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Someone's asking what's on your hat, by the way.
Oh, this plaid? Is the I'm trying to turn for the camera, but it's backwards.
It's the plaid hat.
It's a plaid hat. Okay, nice.
Yeah, I had to wear my Tesla gear. I had a Tesla sweatshirt, but it was a little hot, so I took that off. But I have a Tesla hat on still.
Hey, Emmett, does it feel like a Tesla event there, or does it feel a little subdued?
That's exactly what I was going to say, subdued. It feels a little subdued, partly because of the weather. I'm hearing a lot of people aren't making it because there's a huge snowstorm coming from the Bay Area out here. Me and my guest, we had to leave last night and stayed in a hotel in Reno overnight because we knew there was a crazy snowstorm starting, trying to get through over the mountains into Reno from, Northern California from the coast. So, yeah, and we were looking at the roads. The roads are a lot of them are closed right now, even from spin-outs. So going back tonight's going to be a crap show. So I think a lot of people aren't making it because of the terrible weather conditions, to be honest.
That might allow y'all to have more, maybe some additional information, because usually like the more subdued events allow for more one-on-one time with some folks. Yeah. So I wonder for those that are there, it might be beneficial.
Yeah, I definitely have been able to talk to a lot of engineers one-on-one. Engineers creating the steering wheel or the brake, air suspension. All kinds of interesting folks, and a lot of them have been here 5 years or less. It's hard to find engineers that have worked here more than 5 years. Most people are new. I mean, it's such a fast-growing company, just the nature of that. The vast majority of employees are, of course, going to be newer. But I'm looking for the ones that have been here for like more than 5 years. So I feel like I can get a unique perspective from them, maybe.
Go ask that steering wheel engineer when he thinks that he's got to find a new job.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to have a more traditional steering wheel, the Semi. Not going to have the yoke or anything, and it's going to be. It's not going to be steered by wire. It's going to be wire. It's going to be some kind of hybrid or something. So, mechanical steering.
We got Alexandra back. Alexandra, we have Emmett at the event. Do you want to ask him any questions while we have him?
How was the drive up, Emmett? There was snow, right?
Yeah, terrible. Apparently, we drove up last night, right before the snowstorm started, and it was fine because we drove late before it just started kind of precipitating as we were getting here. And Yeah, but for a lot of people, I understand it's right now the conditions are really bad. So trying to get back to the Bay Area is going to be very tricky. Yeah.
And so at the moment, all you see are semis, right? No Cybertrucks or any other products around.
No, I mean they have the Model Y, Model X behind me on display, the Model 3, traditional. They have the I guess the regular cars here.
Okay.
This is the only spot we were supposed to take photos or videos. That's why I'm standing here. But they did have plaid test drives they were giving out. And then there was one spot that was like a photo op or something where you could stand in like a weird little cavern and take a photo or something. But other than that, it's supposed to be like no cameras.
And how many people do you feel were invited? Is it like 100, 500, thousands?
I mean, I'd say here there are probably 500 to 1,500 people, somewhere in that neighborhood here.
Okay.
And I would say a third of them are employees. And I would say of the people who are not employees, a large amount of them are like customers or from businesses that represent customer.
And so you're what? You're inside the factory, or you're in a hangar, or where's this taking place?
It's the production facility for the Tesla Semi, the manufacturing line.
So inside the factory, right?
Yeah, but it's not the main gig in Nevada factory. That thing is like a quarter mile away or something. It's not far, but it's like just behind the hills, behind these big buildings. These big buildings are for the Tesla Semi.
You've been in Austin. Does it in any way, I mean, I know it's much smaller, but does it in any way resemble to the way Austin was equipped and set up?
Yeah, I was explaining that it's sort of like the walkthrough they have you teach you about it is similar to the event they had for the Austin grand opening, where they had you walk through the whole factory and teach you different steps they're doing, manufacturing techniques they're doing, or whatever. It's sort of similar, but a much more miniaturized version of that for the Tesla Semi here. So we learned some interesting things about the batteries and stuff. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious. I'm going to get going in a minute because I want to go over to the stage area where Elon is going to be presenting.
For sure.
There's a VIP area kind of in the center. It doesn't look like they're really checking. I was thinking about just like walking up there, seeing if I can see anyone important. You are
come
important.
on the board. You're Peppers, bro.
I'm going to find Robin Denholm and say, authorize the share buyback now.
Yes, please. Say it's coming from Alexandra. Tell her.
Yeah.
We're putting Emmett on a job today. We're going to see if he can get us we're going to see if he can get us a buyback, and then we're also going to see if he can get us some stream time with Elon as well. So if you can
what the heck about mission to Mars? This is mission to buyback. Do it, Emmett.
I know, I should do that. Yeah,
that's amazing. Well, I'm gonna let you go. Emmett. I know you want to go make it to the stage. Go ahead, Nico. Maybe one last shout out here. Yeah.
One quick question, Emmett. You said that you're talking about the battery. Is it 2170?
I can't tell, to be honest. I'm not sure. They didn't specify that in any of the text I was reading. So I couldn't quite tell.
Okay,
yeah, fair enough.
Keep us updated. Awesome. If you see anybody important, let us know.
I will let you know.
On afterwards too, if we're still on, you're more than welcome to come.
I'll check the YouTube and see if you're on, and I'll jump on.
And get us Elon for an interview.
Yeah, Elon. Yeah. It's perfect time. There's barely anybody there today.
I consider that done. It's already. That's
good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emmett.
All right, guys.
Appreciate
good chatting. Okay. All right.
Thanks a lot.
Take it easy, man.
Bye.
Thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate you.
Go get the work. Get the work. You got stuff to do.
Is my sound better, or is it still delayed?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Way better.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
It was OBS. I'm pretty sure it was OBS. Producer wife, I muted the live stream thing because I think there was music coming from it. If I unmute it, I think you turned it on. Perfect. I wasn't sure where it was coming from, but anyway, thank you so much for joining us. 3,500 people. I think this is a new record. May have been for this stream. Thank you so much for joining us. Let us know where you're from in the comments. We're joined by Nicholas Gibbs, Alexander Mertz, two experts in the Tesla field. They understand Tesla really well. They're probably the most well versed people you'll ever meet in your life. Okay, we have Nicholas Gibbs and Alexander Mertz here.
There you go. Nicholas, what are you drinking now?
Looks like an old fashioned.
It's it's a 25-year-old whiskey that I've never opened. I got it for my 30th birthday, so a couple years ago, and I wasn't gonna have a drink at all. I was just gonna drink water. Right, I was on the Corey diet. I literally was just gonna drink water. Have water here. I have water here. And then I saw Farzad with the wine. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do anything. And then Emmett talked about, there's some cocktails over here. I'm like, that's it. I caved.
That's how it always starts,
It didn't take much, right? It didn't take much.
Well, I'm going to pour myself a second glass here. Alexander, you drinking anything with us tonight?
Not yet. Maybe a little bit later. You know, in California, it's 4:50. It's still quite early. So.
Oh, wow.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
And did Cindy see the pictures I sent her for the Coca-Cola trucks? And actually, I was wrong. It's not Toyota. It's Renault that gave them their electric trucks.
Yeah, I think I sent it. Producer wife, I sent it to the private chat. If you want to pull that up. And then while you do that, I'll pull up this super chat here by Buck. Buck, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thank you all so much for your super chats. Math quiz. If Tesla Semi can haul 82,000 pounds, here we go. And Mary Barra's EV strategy is 1,000 pounds per good decision. How much remaining weight can Semi haul after loading Mary's strategy? Answer 82,000 pounds. Thank you. Well done. Buck, this was probably the best math quiz I've ever seen in my life. That's funny. Thank you, Buck.
And I love when the answer is straight away there.
Yeah. Here's the answer. We're 5 minutes away from the event. Yeah. Very excited. Let's check this out here before we switch over. Coca-Cola Company will now make local deliveries in Belgium with 30 electric
Renault. You're getting there.
Trucks. Thank you. E-Tech. The Belgian bottler is investing in long-term sustainability. I love these words, and cutting annual CO2 emissions by 75%. Let's pull up some of these very old-looking trucks.
It is, right? They're old-fashioned, right?
Tesla's got a problem.
There's a cable.
These are sexy. Look at it. It looks like a dragon up top. Go back to that previous one. Look at that top. What is on that? Looks like a dragon. Like. All right, I watched Game of Thrones, but it looks like
They needed to add a sun shield or something like that. And look at those exterior mirrors. How many are there? 1, 2, 3? This is crazy.
It's like LiDAR. The more, the better.
Exactly.
Everybody knows the more, the better.
Like on a reindeer, right?
Oh. Like, look at just how they just look. Is it like a reindeer?
that needs to be a meme. It needs to be Rudolph with a LiDAR on his nose.
True, Nico. That's a good one.
That's how they find the chimneys, bro. Come on now.
Yeah, and I mean, just think of that when you see later on the semis, how they're slick and mean and aerodynamic, and you see these old style cubes. I mean, this is horrible.
It's not a good look for Coca-Cola, right? So what I'm envisioning is somebody that's I don't know, maybe how do I say values aesthetics or values things that look really cool. You take that picture and you put it side by side. So producer wife, pull up a picture of a Tesla Semi here before we go to the live stream. And just side by side, right? You see that picture and then you see the Tesla Semi that Pepsi's going to be running with. And then they just look like a world of a difference. Just looking at it. One looks old school, one looks new school. So I wonder if now there's going to be this thing where Pepsi is now new school, because they've attached themselves to the brand that's sort of pushing the boundaries and pushing towards things that look really cool. And then Coca-Cola is like, hey, check out our electric cars. Like, come on. Look at the difference, right? It's just, it looks like two completely different things.
Well, it looks like an alien spaceship.
Yeah, like everything. And you just want to have it, right?
Yeah.
Which color do you want if you could have one for free?
Red.
Red?
Yeah.
I think I want the black.
Ooh, I need to see all the colors before I decide.
Silver looks good too, though, right?
Yeah.
All right. I think. Look at that. That's sexy. Sorry,
dude. You said it like so, like honestly, like it came from your heart.
I was about to say, like, I have no idea how I just came off. Like sometimes I forget we're like on camera.
Yeah, you came off in the best way possible. Let's just say that. Yeah. See, even the matte black one looks sick, right?
I love it.
Like
I absolutely love it. I would like really an RV on the black one. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Now, all right. Two quick things. One, I know we're kind of making fun of Coca-Cola and all that, but like, shout out to Renault for what they're doing, because this is the whole point, right? This is the whole mission, is to get people doing this. And Tesla can't do it alone. So, I mean, even if we don't like the aesthetics of it or whatever, and even if it doesn't work well, and even if they have the silly charger instead of, going the Tesla way, it's great to see that. But the other thing I want to bring up is we got 3 minutes left. Yes or no?
No. They're live. They're live.
They're live? All right, let's go ahead.
Oh,
pull it up.
Well, I was going to ask, are we going to start on time? Yes or no?
I think so, yes. For sure.
After yesterday.
We got our boy. Right? Look at that.
Oh,
perfect timing, Yashu.
How's it going, guys? Hi, guys.
Just fine.
I was watching the stream for a little bit, but I can't hang out for long today. But I promised that I would come on for a little bit. So
appreciate you coming on, man. Yeah.
How's the event going? The pre-waiting room so far?
It's been fun, man. We've been just hanging out. We had Emmett, our satellite correspondent, who volunteered to go in the
correspondent.
Yeah, from he's at the event, so he brought he just took a video and kind of gave us the vibe check. It looks like there's a lot of folks that are not there, and for those that are just joining us, we're 2 minutes away from the event. As soon as we hit 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Pacific, excuse me, we'll bring up the stream here. So don't go anywhere. We got you. But yeah, we had Emmett kind of give us a vibe check of what was going on over there. And it seemed like a lot of folks are not making it to the event because there's a snowstorm that's happening around the area. So it might be a little bit more subdued.
Funny you say that. I just spent like the last little bit shoveling snow here. It's like all icy. Right? Yeah, it's like black ice everywhere. I almost fell like 4 times on my face today. It's just it's crazy out here. But I mean, I guess you can't really be Canadian unless you're talking about snow. So I'll take it.
That's amazing, man. What do you think is going to happen here? What do you think we're going to see?
Well, I saw your tweet today about, do you think there's an unveiling? And that kind of got my gears turning a little bit. But I'm just excited overall to see. There's still a lot of disbelief, I think, in the community, not maybe the Tesla community, but like the general trucking community, that it can be 500 miles with load on it. Like it seems like, I'm not sure if you guys have already talked about this, but it seems like no one really kind of believes that those kind of specs are real yet. So I'd be very interested to know like their demo, how long they ran it, like how many test drives have they had on it, and what's like the expected range in the winter and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I'm most excited for. What's the consensus with you guys? Do you guys think there's an unveiling or something exciting today other than that?
I don't. I mean, Nikola obviously does. I think they're just going to deliver the semis and discuss the specs of the trucks and how many orders they have now and whatever. And I think that's good enough. I honestly don't expect much more. But Nikola is hyping us up. Do it again, Nikola.
My heart says there's going to be one of these times we're going to get another one more thing moment. But my brain says probably not. Just enjoy the moment for what it is. But I can't not listen to my heart.
I'm on the same boat. Eternally over optimistic, ready for disappointment, but we're still going to see a badass product. That's really what I'm looking forward to. Yeah.
I know isn't it kind of crazy how long it's been since the unveiling, and like it's like the Cybertruck, of course, is not here yet. Next year will be, but man, I'm just excited for like 6 months' time, us talking about the Cybertruck unveiling event as well, and like people going to that and the first deliveries. Like it's just around the corner.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, so excited.
It's been a long time since Elon's like pulled something out of his hat. I mean, Plaid Day, people thought something was going to happen. Berlin, Austin, shareholder meeting. I mean, like 4680. Like it's been a while. AI Day.
Oh, come on. We're having animation compared to anything else.
I take that back. I just lied. I take that back. Optimus was a one more thing when they unveiled that. So I take that back.
Go. Now I have a question technically, Paza. Do you plug into the YouTube or the Twitter stream of Tesla now? Because they transmit it both on YouTube and on Twitter now.
I believe producer wife has the YouTube version up right now. Yeah.
I think that's more prudent because let's see whether the
probably higher quality too, because I think the Twitter live stream, this is being live streamed on Twitter as well. So this instance, I'm pushing it to Twitter, and typically the YouTube one has a higher quality video and audio for now, until Elon gets his hands in there. So I'm curious to see what they do there. I'm very excited about that, honestly.
Yeah, the video platform, right, on Twitter.
It's gonna be crazy.
Oh yeah.
I saw that. I saw his notification. He's like going live on Twitter. I was like, oh, is this like the unveiling of like a video platform? It's way better than the old one. Like the one that they have right now sucks in my opinion. It's just so laggy and like, but I mean, I think it's just Periscope's legacy platform on Twitter. That's all it is. But I mean, I'm very excited. I know Farzad as well about like monetization for creators on Twitter. That's going to be big.
Yeah. It's gonna be huge. It's really gonna be what was I thinking about a couple of days ago, man? Like, okay, so you know how like you have long form content on YouTube, like say a podcast or something, and as a creator, you have like these spikes and valleys in your analytics that say, hey, this is like where most people liked your thing. This is where most people like stayed on to watch your thing. It's the place where they dropped a comment. Like, why can't Twitter or anybody, YouTube, if you're listening to this, send that 1 minute before and 1 minute after, send it to me with like the same tags I have on the video as a clip, and then have me just sign off on it as a clip and just let me hit publish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if Twitter can make something like that where the creator can
there's no support whatsoever. There's no support whatsoever.
It sucks,
it's crazy.
kind of.
And I mean, and those comments with those stupid, WhatsApp numbers and whatever. Oh,
the worst.
Yeah, I'll say right now, for anybody who comments on my videos, if you see me comment less, it's because of that. Like I can't keep up with the spam bots. Like it's ridiculous.
Awful. It is.
It's so hard to build a community on YouTube. It really is.
Yeah.
It's so difficult. And I'm of course very grateful. Obviously, we're here, all four of us hanging out on YouTube. So obviously they have an amazing product, but it can be so much better if they just clean up that comment section and maybe do some innovative stuff on the creator side.
I mean, and the comments are just not interactive enough, right? If the person who puts it up likes it, that's known, but all the other likes, nobody knows who it is. When there is a second comment, they vanish. I mean, they stay there, but you have to click on replies and open it up, and then the other one. There's just no interaction there that's easy. It's so old style, it's crazy.
Yeah,
so true.
Even if I could like
Elon
edit in mass. Oh, go ahead. Oh,
yeah, sorry.
Wow.
Elon said 5 minutes, so we're about to get started in 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Good.
No, I was just gonna say, like, even if I could just like in your emails, you can like edit in mass, in volume.
Yeah.
Like if I could just do that, where I could just like select, and then delete. But I can't. I have to do like one at a time. Are you sure? Or is this spam? It's like, come on.
Yeah. And I mean, I just can't believe it because Google has all this money. They're working on new products that they never release, whatever. Nobody seems to care about improving YouTube. It's been like that for ages. Nothing's happening. Absolutely nothing's happening.
Yeah. It's painful. Let's do you guys think Elon's going to have a dance at this event? Somebody just said Elon dancing. Do you think that's going to happen?
Do a poll.
Yeah. Run a poll, producer wife. Will Elon dance at the event?
I think he has to.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he does. Well, no, I think he dances. I think he dances at the new Gigafactory location next, not today.
Not today. So, who do y'all think? Where do y'all think the next Giga will be announced?
When or where, Alexander?
Both.
Let me guess what Yash is going to say.
Am I that predictable? All right, guess.
No, I'm with you. I think it's gonna be Canada and South Korea. So I'm with you. Like I think you're right. The signs seem to be more than obvious now.
Yeah, but you know what? Today, what was that headline I saw? Volkswagen is looking to open up the EV factory up here in Canada as well. I didn't read into it yet, but what is up with everyone all of a sudden piggybacking on Canada here? I mean, it's great for our economy. I'm just wondering what changed in the last little bit.
So damn nice.
I think it's the exchange rate
for everything.
Probably. True. The exchange rate is helping for sure.
Yeah. Sorry for
and the location, right? Like the location proximity to the US.
You mean the snow? You mean being buried half the year?
That is a myth. I'll have you know that right now. I got to defend my brethren.
It happened yesterday, right?
Okay, well, I mean, this is why it's a big deal for us. It snows like once or twice a year. It's getting worse with climate change. To be fair, it's way more snow than it used to be. But we're kind of like the California of Canada here in Vancouver. So
Vancouver, yes, but I mean, they want to go Quebec or I don't know where it's snowing months and months, right?
True.
I think Ontario they had their sights on.
I'd be stoked, but you know what, guys? I'm not so bullish on them talking about a new gigafactory by the end of the year like I was a couple months ago. I feel like we would have heard more about it by now if it was imminent or if it was closer. Yeah, exactly. Like, and the holiday season coming up, and like if you guys remember last time, it was between Tulsa and Austin. And leading up to it, every week or every other day, there was like a new headline about this. This governor is giving them this, or this mayor is giving this special treat. So they were really publicly using leverage in the media to essentially better their position, which I think is great. We're not really seeing that. It's kind of in the background. So I'm not entirely sure if that is leading towards a imminent announcement by the end of the year or maybe in the first quarter even. But
and there have been. Oh, what are you showing us? You're showing me the blue one.
It's a Pepsi Tesla semi.
Oh, good. But I'm with you, Yeshu. I feel there is not much happening, and it's actually funny. You feel as if he's country hopping, like Canada, then it was Mexico, then it was Indonesia. Now he had that talk in South Korea, and so every time everybody goes, "Okay, this is the man," but you have no idea because he could be country hopping in 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah,
and start all over again.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, I'm quite excited though. I mean, in general, that Canada's in the conversation at the very least, because I mean, that's a step for us anyways. Like I'm looking forward for the next 20 to 50 years of this revolution. Like it's going to be a big monumental step for us to have some sort of an EV manufacturing industry up here. So yeah, I'm excited. But yeah, there are union issues as well. I see someone in the comments saying that, of course, that's kind of with everywhere, to be fair. So yeah. So, but what
I mean, they went to Germany despite unions. So
yeah,
well, we'll see. I mean, they didn't go to France. I give you that.
I mean, they're in California.
No, exactly. California. True. That would have been like going to France. You see.
Farzad, are you bullish by the end of the year on an announcement on that?
I think it's still. Yeah, I am. Honestly, I am.
Really? Okay.
Because there is teasing by like France, for example. He was on a interview with CNBC. I think it was yesterday, where he teased the new product, right? The new car. Right. I mean, maybe it happens when that gets unveiled. I don't know, man. It's like it's weird to think about because if you think about Austin and Berlin, they're not even really close to being fully ramped.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the thought process. They're saying, you know what, we can squeeze a lot more production out of these two factories. So there's no need for us to announce a new gigafactory until maybe we unveil the new product, right? So the $25,000 or $30,000 car, because obviously that is going to need its own facility or its own process because it's going to be manufactured in the millions of units per year, 3 to 6 million of units per year. And so, hey, here's a $25,000 car. Oh, and by the way, we're opening up 2 new gigafactories in Canada and South Korea. And Austin, we're going to expand to also do the $25,000 car. Production will start end of 2024, mass produced by 2025. And this is the robotaxi platform that's borrowed from this car. Like I think that's where we're at now. What do you guys think? Am I thinking about that incorrectly? What do you guys think about that? Any thoughts?
I just sent to producer wife a picture from Xander with the Pepsi truck if she wants to pull that up.
Sure. On her DM?
On her DM, yes.
Okay, for Twitter.
I sent both of them to you, Farzad, on your Twitter. There's a Frito one and a Pepsi one.
Okay, got it.
But I kind of agree with you as far as them not announcing, because I mean, I don't know how the last ones were announced. Were they announced just Elon tweeting? Like I don't remember anymore.
It was announced the day before quarter 2 earnings in 2020, I believe, Austin. And then it was officially announced in the earnings call, I believe.
Okay. Well, maybe that pans out for this year. Oh, here we go.
I think we're live.
All right, guys, have fun. I'm going to sign off. I'll watch this.
Yash.
See you soon, Yash.
Much love.
Thank you for stopping in.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
The much love was for me,
Everybody's-
just so
everybody's
that you
coming
know.
I'll mute myself.
All right, me too.
Me
Crank
too.
it up. I love how he always does the hand thing.
Hey everyone. All right, welcome to Sparks, Nevada, site of the Tesla Gigafactory and our Tesla semi-truck factory as well. So, yeah, I can't believe it's been 5 years. So, we unveiled the Tesla Semi 5 years ago. It's been a lot that's happened since then, to say the least. So, we were incredibly excited tonight to actually deliver our first production Tesla semi-trucks. So, and it's right next door to the Giga Nevada, our Gigafactory here, which produces the most number of battery cells in North America. It produces our drive units and battery packs. And yeah, so I'd just like to just start off by giving a big hand to the Tesla Gigafactory team and the Tesla semi-truck team. It's like, so I think you've had a chance to tour the production line. So cool, right? Yeah, we're looking forward to actually delivering our first production trucks to PepsiCo. So this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and also a huge thank you to all of our other customers. I mean, a lot's happened in the last 5 years, and our customers have been super loyal and supportive, and stuck with us and been a huge part of our development. And we're excited to show everything that we've been doing off to everybody tonight.
Great. So let's get started. Yeah. So yeah, sorry for the delay. It's been like sheer amount of drama between this last 5 years ago and now is insane. A lot has happened in the world, but here we are. It's real. So.
Yeah, we threw a great party a few years back, and trying to do a similar thing here tonight. And Tesla's been growing like crazy. I mean, everybody here has been contributing towards the growth and unveiling awesome products and really scaling us to the point that now we can actually work on semi, and we're really excited to do that. But we've been working a little bit on the background, close to the chest, right level of priority, but made a lot of progress, incorporated a lot of things that we're going to talk about. And at the end of the day, we have not wavered from our mission to build the most compelling, greatest Class 8 truck in history. So we're going to keep putting our foot forward to do that, and yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So people might wonder why build a semi-truck, because if you look at the actual unit volume, it's small compared to passenger vehicles. So for passenger vehicles, there's on the order of almost 100 million that are sold every year, and Whereas semi trucks, it's like for 400,000 or 500,000.
Not even, yeah. It's a couple 100,000 Class 8 trucks a year.
Globally.
Yeah. Or no. Sorry, that's US.
Yeah. So in the U.S. there's call it like 15 million passenger vehicles and a couple 100,000 semi trucks. So it seems like a small percentage, but it's actually 20% of U.S. vehicle emissions because you've got a huge vehicle and it's being driven all the time. So when you factor in the number of hours driven and the weight that it's carrying, it's actually, although it's only 1% of vehicle production, it's 20% of vehicle emissions. And it's over a third of all the particulate emissions. So from a sort of health standpoint, particularly in like cities, this is a huge impact, like it's gigantic. So that's why we're doing it, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, this is really core to our mission. And to Elon's point, there's a lot of heavy trucks that are deployed in dense urban areas. And so the communities that are around freeways, a lot of where these trucks are domiciled are going to really benefit, particularly from the particulate emissions reductions, and then just trying to reduce emissions globally. Every truck that we put on the road that replaces a diesel truck is a huge amount of leverage. And so that is why we're doing this, and makes a huge difference towards driving us towards our total mission of sustainable energy and transportation.
Yeah, I think maybe a lot of people don't realize it's actually quite unhealthy to be living next to a highway with diesel trucks, FYI. So being able to make them electric is just going to be just in addition to sort of climate change and global warming matters. It's also quiet, and it's going to improve the quality of your air, and it will actually just fundamentally improve the health of people living near freeways, which is obviously a super big deal. So,
yeah, if anybody's been woken up at a noisy truck delivering in the morning, the quiet will definitely be very welcome. I know I will appreciate that.
Yeah. So we're aiming to cover all major forms of transport. It's just consistent with the Tesla mission, because sometimes I get asked like, well, shouldn't Tesla just produce like, fast cars or premium cars or whatever? It's like, but what's our actual mission? Our actual mission is to accelerate the advent of sustainable energy. So that's why we're making this wide range of cars that don't really make sense from a brand standpoint, I guess, traditionally, but they make total sense when you consider what's the mission of the company. The mission of the company is to accelerate sustainable energy. And so it's super consistent with that goal. And really a crucial piece of the puzzle, and that's why we're doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, Elon, you first laid this out in Master Plan Part 2, and now we're here to actually make it happen. And everything from the mission side, along with reducing the cost of cargo transport, and also make it fun. I mean, we want to make the truck an awesome driving experience. Make it kick ass for the drivers.
Yeah, I mean, it looks sick. I mean, look at that thing. I mean, you want to drive that. I mean, that thing looks like it came from the future. It drives like it's like driving a Tesla, literally. It's fun. It looks awesome, and there's actually a big shortage of drivers. And so if you're a truck driver and you want the most badass rig on the road, this is it. So yeah, that's it. It's a beast. At Tesla, we don't make slow cars. We don't make this thing has crazy power relative to a diesel truck. Actually, especially if you're not towing anything, you could zip around like it looks crazy. Basically, it looks like an elephant moving like a cheetah. It doesn't look right, frankly. But this is not sluggish in the least. It's fast. It's fast to accelerate. It's fast to brake. It's really a step change improvement in what it's like to drive a semi truck. Yeah, when we've got three times the power.
3 times the power than any diesel truck on the road right now. So you got all the work, all the power you need to get the job done. But the other reason that it's a beast is because it's also efficient. And you can go 500 miles on a single charge on one of these things. So it's the mix of those two that this is why this is a game changer. And what's awesome is both of those are enabled by our new 1,000-volt powertrain, which is the first vehicle that we're doing with that. And don't worry, there'll be some more things, more vehicles coming with that. But this is going to be a game changer because of all the awesome innovations that have happened, behind the scenes and under the hood, so to speak.
Cool. Yeah. So we're obviously leveraging a ton of stuff that we've already done. So we've got, well, it's now probably 51 billion miles driven. I don't know, it's more every day. So we're using our existing drive units, power electronics, infotainment, our super efficient heat pump, HVAC system, and state-of-the-art inverters. So we're able to leverage the existing powertrain and elements that are already made at volume in order to achieve extreme efficiency of cost and capability. So.
Yeah, and it also means we get to leverage all the reliability that the active car fleet is doing. So we're accumulating all these miles, getting a ton of demonstrated learnings into the field, and we're going to go and put all these trucks into the world and get a lot of learnings as well. But we're coming off of a great launching pad with everything that's done in the rest of our products already. And it's also enabled because Tesla's got this full vertical integration on the software and the hardware side. So the teams that are working together to put all that together into one package, this is a huge win, for all of our products, but particularly semi.
Lots of hardcore testing. So, I mean, one of the things about a commercial truck is that the reliability has to be extremely high. So it's got to be running continuously, can't break down. It's got to handle every kind of weather. Uptime is super important for any kind of semi-truck. So we've tested durability in every kind of weather, every kind of environment. I mean, you could, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've driven Donner. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but we've been through hot, cold, snow, rain. We've been putting this thing through all its paces in the lab as well as in the real world. The simulation team has been doing an incredible job of being able to scale all of that, in the virtual side. And the other thing is that we're going to take these and we're going to put our money where our mouth is. And we're going to put these on into our own fleet, into our own supply chain. And we're going to use this to transport goods between our factories and our suppliers, because we believe in it, not just from a mission perspective and a cost perspective, but because we want to close that feedback loop. We got to get that learning as fast as we can. We want it straight from the drivers, we want it straight from the service techs that are working on it. We're going to take all that data that's coming in and continue to refine the product and make it better, just like we do on the car side.
Yeah, exactly. So to be clear, like these semi-trucks are running 24/7 between our Sparks, technically in Sparks, not Reno, but most people will think of it as Reno Sparks, and Tahoe. And yeah, this is technically called the Tahoe Reno Industrial Complex, or TRIC. Now there's an interesting backstory about why it's called that.
Very.
Yeah. So,
tell us.
Tesla are using the trucks continuously day and night between here and Fremont and back again is going to be a great test of the vehicle and will give us a great feedback loop for continuing to improve the product. So my clicker is sort of not working. There we go. All right. So yeah, we've got a tri-motor powertrain system. So we're using the carbon overwrap sleeve. So essentially, we're using the plaid Model S, Model X powertrain, but we're actually enabling the two of the drive units to actually disconnect. So that they're not free spinning, so the efficiency is actually much greater in cruise.
Yeah, this is really unique. I mean, we're going with a tri-motor system. One of them is constantly engaged, so that's for maximum efficiency. You're getting on the highway, that's doing the bulk of the work, and it's operating at the peak efficiency point of the entire drivetrain. And then the other two units are for torque and acceleration. So when the driver needs it to get their job done, whether that's getting out of a loading dock or it's on the road, they need to pass somebody, you're tackling a grade, you have the torque and power to do it. And the cool thing is that these are clutched automatically, so no driver input needed, but it's also seamless. So the highway efficiency unit is cruising along doing its thing, and if the driver puts their foot to the floor, the torque unit spin up, clutch engages, and takes over, And it does all of that before we've maxed out the torque on the efficiency unit, so it's completely smooth. There's no turbo lag or jerkiness or anything like that. No driver input needed. It's smooth, both in terms of acceleration and deceleration for regen. It's really cool happening all behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, what I find actually really wild about this is that you can have a truck which is 82,000 pounds. And by the way, the reason we can actually do 82,000 pounds is that there's a 2,000 pound extra that's allowed by law for electric trucks. So you get a little bit of a advantage on the weight side. But you can basically pull 82,000 pounds at cruise using and the only thing that's doing that is a tiny little motor on one axle.
Oh, that big? Well, football size maybe.
Yeah, you can carry it.
Yeah,
like it's like a
I mean, you can check it in your luggage. Good luck doing that with a diesel engine. And one of those is more powerful than a diesel. Yeah.
Yeah, just that one little guy is more powerful than a regular diesel engine on a semi truck. But I find it like amazing that this enormous thing can be pulled by something that you could carry in your hands. It's like, wow, that's power density.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then in terms of, we're putting this to use in the real world. Yeah. So that truck's clocking it at 82. That's weighing 82,000 pounds. And when you see that pass shot again, you'll notice that speedometer is climbing. We're going 6% and accelerating up that grade. This is where it comes in.
Yeah, it's like driving a normal car, not like driving a truck. It's just that you're moving 82,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any highway grade you come across, you can tackle at speed.
Yeah.
There's no compromise.
No slowdown.
Nope. And the other beauty is that you've got all this power going up, but you also have it going down. And what that means is you've got regenerative braking. So rather than using a Jake brake or engine braking like a diesel truck does, where you have to worry about hitting your shifts. If you miss a gear, you're onto your brakes and potentially in a runaway situation. You don't have to worry about any of that. There's no shifting, no nothing. And so the regen recaptures all that energy as you're going down these grades. But on top of it, it also is a safer system for not just the driver, but everybody on the road, because there's no gear to miss.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth reemphasizing that point. Because it's an electric drivetrain, when it goes downhill, or when you slow down, it recaptures the energy of motion or the energy of height. The potential and kinetic energy are largely recaptured. Whereas for a diesel truck, that's not possible. You can't just create diesel. So you just end up heating brakes. And then your brakes overheat and you can't use them. And then it's pretty dangerous because the brakes stop working.
Yeah, that's why you have runaway truck ramps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because, if for any of you that have ever driven I-80 and driven Donner, there's a mandatory brake check stop for trucks down by Emigrant Gap. We've done this, and it's really funny because we'll go over the grade, we'll come down, and we just kind of pull to the side, and we're like, well, there's nothing to check. We've never used the things, and we just keep driving. Yeah.
Yeah. And we get to the bottom of the hill, we have cold brakes.
Yeah.
That's like mind-blowing in the trucking world. So it's like insane, basically. So.
That's a huge deal.
So it's really worth emphasizing that. That's a significant safety improvement for the truck driver and for other people on the road. We also have excellent traction control because the precision of an electric motor is vastly better than a diesel engine. It's sort of got like I'm trying to think of the right analogy here, but like it's got the precision of like a laser printer. It's not great. It's like really precise. That's what I'm saying. And the reaction is so it's like you don't have to worry about like traction control is awesome. It's automatically stopping the truck from jackknifing. It's doing all this safety stuff in the background that just isn't possible with regular diesel trucks. It's a step change in technology in so many ways.
Yeah, and the tight integration with the software team that we have here really makes that happen because it means that we can take all that, the precision and actually put it to use. It's not some tie-in of some third-party powertrain. No, this is all in-house. As we do this really neat, chassis control work at the brake level, the traction control level, we integrate with our this total stability control system, and make sure that the driver has a lot of confidence, but also has everything they need to stay on the road. It's going to be it's a really nice, neat integrated package overall in terms of software and control, and it's totally seamless to the driver, and it'll be a game changer in terms of safety.
Yeah.
So we talk power. You want to talk efficiency?
Yeah, absolutely. So, some people out there say it can't be done. I don't know who might say that, but I've heard rumors. So we just did it. Yeah. And we're going to post the whole video unedited on YouTube.
Yeah. And
no jump cuts.
Yeah. And this wasn't, some ultra clean, precise test track simulation or something where we, shut down a road. Nope. This is real world. This is over Grapevine. This is with traffic. This is true 500 miles. We were loaded just under 82K. We no special aero treatments.
Yeah.
Truck came off the line, shook it down, made it run. That's it.
Yeah. There was like no fast moves here.
Nope.
So to be clear, it's not like, oh, what tricks did they pull? Were there actually a whole bunch of tricks we could have pulled?
Yeah.
And didn't. Like as Dan said, like no special aero treatment.
Oh, and by the way, we should mention there was no charging. Like we charged the truck. Yeah, we didn't stop to charge. Single driver.
One charge. Exactly.
Yeah.
Good point. So
minor detail.
Yeah. So it's not like 500 miles like with no load, with special aero and special everything. It's like fully loaded, going from the Bay Area. We actually had to like go a bit north to get to actually add to get to 500 miles because you get LA to the Bay Area is less than that.
Well, we went all the way to San Diego here, so we stretched out on the southern end. And I mean, do you want to see on the video? I mean, we have the proof.
Absolutely. So. It's only 8 hours long, so.
Yeah, buckle in. Don't worry, we brought lots of snacks.
Yeah.
But yeah. Standard trip. Down the 5, up Grapevine, through LA, traffic, construction. We got the bypass on the way station, but running full 80 or just under 82, full deliveries, nothing to hide.
Yeah, real world. It's
He did take one restroom break for. There is a required mandatory 30-minute break within the first 8 hours of operation. Okay. Took a small restroom break, but that was it. Yep.
All right. Cool. So aerodynamic efficiency obviously matters a lot. You can see it's shaped like a bullet. It's really aerodynamic, and that helps a lot. As we get less than 2 kilowatt hours.
2 kilowatt hours a mile.
Yep. So.
And that's the name of the game. Is efficiency there. Yep.
Yep. So. Yeah. I mean, it's really efficient in every way, and.
I mean, the team's done a lot of awesome work. I mean, we went into the wind tunnel with this really cool model, rolling road, the whole 9 yards. And pulled in a lot of learnings and all of our features from the car side that give us such great real world efficiency there, and really want to make sure that the truck and the trailer have to work together. This is a combination. This is not just the truck. If you optimize one, you actually might disrupt the whole combination. And so we spent a lot of time both virtually, but also in the wind tunnel to make this happen, and really some next level engineering to of everything they had to do there. And it means that we've got a really efficient truck.
Yeah. As I said, it's as easy to drive as a Model 3. So it's like with basically no training, you can drive this. You have to think bigger when you're driving it, but it's not like it's not hard to drive. It's really easy. And we put the seat in the center for max visibility. It's low floor. You can stand up in the cabin.
Yeah, and that's actually like a really big deal. I mean, you're a tall guy, Elon. Like you're able to stand up just fine. And nice thing is that if you're a truck driver and you're out during the day and it's cold, it's snowy, whatever, you can get in, and this isn't a sleeper cab. This is a day cab. You can still stand up and you can shed your jacket, put it on the wall, all in the comfort. You can put your coveralls on while in the cab. So if you have to go do a dirty job, you can do that comfortably as opposed to being out in the elements. So that's, that level of space is, unheard of. And we were able to do that with some pretty innovative packaging. And on top of it, there's plenty of cargo storage, for drivers need to bring any tools, other equipment along. And not to mention, we've got the plugins, the wireless charging, everything they need on the electronic side as well.
Yep. Yeah, so we've got efficiency in every aspect of the vehicle. I've got one-touch suspension dump, so it's very easy to attach to the trailer. It saves time and money. The fleet's more efficient, and the driver's home sooner.
Yeah, I mean, really, we're trying to extend the idea of this efficiency from not just while you're on the road, but into the yard as well. That's before and after the truck has done its job on the road, because that means that drivers at the end of the day are spending less time at the yard and they're getting home earlier. It makes their lives easier. We got a light test that's easy to execute, helps with compliance. There's all these little things that the design team really spent their time researching. They did ride-alongs, they studied, they did all this work. It was really cool to watch them put. I mean, I think they even took like a bunch of like the various cups and put them in CAD, and you'll see them like put them in various cup holder sizes and places. They'll like mock up a bag. They'll do all kinds of neat stuff to understand how a driver works throughout the day. And it means that they'll have a more efficient experience overall.
Yeah. Great. Obviously, to charge a truck like this quickly, you need a high-power charger. So we developed a megawatt class charger as it's capable of charging at a megawatt to DC.
Yeah.
And it's our next generation immersive cooling. So it's liquid cooled. So you don't need like a gigantic elephant trunk of a cable. You can actually have a small cable, and that cable delivers a megawatt. Yeah, with 3x the current density.
I mean, this is really cool stuff. I mean, you're actually immersing the conductor in the coolant, this water-based coolant that we have, and we're then doing some really neat isolation monitoring on the back end to ensure that it's safe and delivering that it needs to. But it means that we can really shove a lot of current in a very, very small place. So, for those that have worked and charged their cars on a V3 supercharger and the cable is nice and maneuverable, it's the same thing here, but now we're just shoving a megawatt through it instead. So, this is key for high power applications like semi. But you want to tell them, or do you want me to tell them?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be used for Cybertruck too.
Yeah. So this is coming to our superchargers next year.
Yeah. So the future of transport obviously requires a sustainable energy infrastructure. So you got to have all aspects of the energy question answered. Sustainable power generation. Then you've got to store the power, and then you transfer the power to the vehicle. So the three pillars of a sustainable energy future are sustainable power generation with solar and wind. I'm actually a fan of nuclear, which we should support, and geothermal and many others. But things that are sustainable long term, but things like wind and solar are intermittent, so you have to have the battery pack to store the energy, so when the wind doesn't blow and the sun doesn't shine, you still have energy. And you can also buffer the power so you're not overloading the grid with spike loads.
Yeah, and our semi customers are actively deploying this today, and we're working with them so that they have the pathway to get towards 100% sustainable future. But we have all of this at our disposal, commercial solar and Megapack. And the Megapack is great because not only can it do things like peak shaving or some of the other energy modulation, but it also provides a form of redundancy and backup. I mean, if we're going to ask a fleet to take on these trucks and run them, they need to ensure that they're going to be able to charge them and keep their fleet running in the event of a power outage. And that's one of the things that we can do with the Megapack on site as well.
All right. So, and post deliveries are now.
Yeah.
So we'd just like to thank PepsiCo. They've been a great partner. Hey, guys. Hey, how's it going? Thank you. Hey, how's it going? So yeah, we completed our first cargo run with a very enormous amount of Frito-Lays, which I'm sure we have a lot of them here. Yeah. All right.
And yesterday, we were actually able to complete our first delivery, compliments of Frito-Lay. We took a truck down to their Modesto factory from here, and one of their drivers, we delivered the truck, they took it over, and they brought back a load of snacks for everybody here to enjoy tonight. Yep. So, big thanks to Kirk and Steven. Yeah.
Do you guys want to say anything?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Look, nothing like this happens without amazing people. And so I just want to thank the people that spent countless hours to make this a reality. That's it. The people.
That's it. I just want to echo, I know a lot of work went into it, and this is fantastic. We're thrilled about the delivery today, so thank you.
Yeah, thanks for letting us be a part of this. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So yeah, thank you all. Thank you all for coming. It's been a long journey, a long 5 years. But this is going to really revolutionize the roads, and I think make the world a better place in a meaningful way. So thank you for your support through all the years.
Okay. See if anything else comes up here. Y'all may have to turn down your volumes a little bit when we come back in, where we're pushing the volume quite a bit for the event.
Yeah, you sound good now.
Wow. Okay. All right. Wow. That actually was better than I thought. It was a little bit smoother than I thought it was going to be, as far as like how they conveyed the information. Dan, I think, was the other gentleman that was on with Elon.
I found his LinkedIn. I just sent it to Cindy. Cindy, maybe you want to pull it up. His name is Dan Priestley.
Okay. Did you send her to our DM on Twitter?
To her DM, yes.
Perfect. All right. Yeah, pull it up when you have a chance, Cindy, producer wife. Should be in your mailbox in your Twitter.
Yeah, Dan
so
Priestley.
Should I go ahead and read some notes that I took while she pulls that up, and then maybe we can riff off of it? How's that sound for you guys? And then we can sort of get your reaction. So 5 years since the unveil, greatest Class A truck in history was quote unquote how they portrayed it. It's semi trucks are 1% of units sold each year, basically, in the United States, but they're 20% of the emission, 30% of the particulates. So from a perspective of pollution and trying to clean up the air, the semi makes a ton of sense. Here's the LinkedIn from the other gentleman that was on stage with Elon. If you scroll down to his experience real quick, let's see where he's been. Senior manager, semi-truck engineering at Tesla. Zoom in for us there if you can, producer.
12 years.
12 years. Seasoned.
Wow.
Next CEO. Excuse me.
That was good there, right?
CEO.
Found that straight on.
Stanford. Oh my gosh, so he's my age. That's when I graduated college myself.
I told you, that's the beard.
Yeah, it's got to be the beard, right? Let's see. Can you go to his experience real quick, babe? If you sorry, producer wife. Oh my god, I'm so unprofessional. So how did he start? As an intern at Tesla? Yeah. So 2 internship positions, became an engineer, then a special projects assistant, then a senior technical program manager, then a staff technical program manager, then a senior manager, semi-truck engineering. Wow. So he's been at the company for a while. He started as an intern, and now he's running the semi-truck program. How cool is that?
That's wild.
How freaking cool is that?
And can you just go back, please, Cindy? I think before that, he wasn't just studying at Stanford, but I think he had a public role there. What was that? Public address announcer for Stanford for 15... No, not for 15 years. Oh, so he probably still does that for athletic events. Oh, that's funny. So he was talking on the mic for public for sports events for Stanford. That's funny. And he started that when he was studying there, when he did his BS from 2.5 to 2.9. Okay.
But that explains I mean, we had like a little private chat we could do here with the live stream.
He was
and
at ease, right?
Yeah. Oh, I kept asking Farzad and Alexandra, like, who is this guy? He's so well spoken, and now we know why. This is right.
And this was really, I found this was the best presentation of Elon with another person. I mean, I know he's good now with the teams and whatever, but there's always this awkward moment of who answers and whatever. This guy was really good on picking up what he had left out, throwing it back to him, not saying too much, because you do all understand they didn't talk about the batteries at all, right? We still don't know what batteries are in there, and so they knew what they wanted to say and they knew what they didn't want to say, and it just flew like from one to the other. Very easy, very good conversation.
Yeah, they did talk. So the reason anyone knows that's 2170s because they did talk about it during the earnings call last time.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason we know anything. But I agree with you. The only other person I've heard talk this seamless, and I think he did a better job, but anyone who's even been this close is Drew. I haven't seen anyone else who's been just that smooth. And I don't know why I keep doing this. Is that Pepsi guy? He was like, he's doing like.
Yeah. The trend of Elon bringing more talent to the forefront really shows just how stacked these companies are. Every single company he has. Tesla doesn't exist unless it's super overrun with amazing talent, and it's obvious that this person is one of many. So I love this new trend of Elon bringing these people forward who aren't just great engineers and great leaders, but they're also great spokespeople for the company, right? They're very easy to listen to. They fill in the gaps where Elon's sort of charm and everything that's really great about him, but they also add additional color. The presentation was very much geared towards truck drivers, and it was geared towards companies that want to run fleets, right? So they were constantly talking about that example of the semi-truck whizzing past the freaking trailer on the right, of the semi-truck on the right, and it was just hauling ass up the hill at 82,000 pounds. That sends a message, right? That's going to become a viral clip for the trucking industry.
But he's also very clever of not divulging their names, right? It wasn't Elon that gave me the hint. It was the Pepsi guy saying, thanks, Dan. Then I went obviously on the internet, put in Tesla, Semi, Daniel, and there he was, right? But yesterday, the same at the Neuralink, we had first name basis, but we had no full names. And he's right. I mean, he has to protect his best stuff because if not, other competitors are going to take them away. But he didn't introduce him. There was no title. There was no nothing. It was just us having to find it.
Yeah. Do you think that was premeditated, or do you think that was like? You think so? I think they just forgot.
No. Come on.
You think they're trying to protect the talent?
I don't know if you remember, but there was somebody in Nevada. I don't remember exactly the story. I think it was in the Reno factory who was fired, and a couple of days later, Laura Kolinsky of CNBC suddenly had the organigram of Tesla with names for the 15 managers on the top. And all journalists were jumping on it because Tesla is very secretive about the names. I mean, we know 3, 4, 5, but we don't know 15. And of course, they're very, and this is just, this is our money. They better are secretive about it. So I'm very happy about that. But he didn't introduce him. He never called him by his first name. Dan called Elon by his first name, of course, but there was never that. And that was deliberate, sure.
That's interesting. That's a really interesting take.
I agree with Alexandra. And Elon he's spoken enough about this paranoia about people either retiring or people getting poached because they get paid ungodly amounts of money. Elon's talked a lot about this. So yeah, I'm with Alexandra on this one. I think it was intentional.
Okay. All
right. Which is good. Which is just good.
Yeah, I think it was more oversight than intentional, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's intentional. But I think that my biggest takeaway, by the way, 5,000 viewers on stream, FYI. We have 5,000 people watching us. Thank you so much.
Wait. Let me just have one moment. Let me have that one moment. When that truck passed the other one, I mean, I was jumping in my chair. Yeah. It was like in a Formula One race when you just jump, there you are. What the heck? Got lost. Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, it was quite badass. The other notes I have down, and again, we can riff off of these. And by the way, everybody in the comments section, let us know what your thoughts were, sort of what you thought of the event. Oh, we got
Sandy Moreau. Hi, Sandy.
Where's Sandy? You got Sandy in here?
Oh, yeah.
Where's he at? Sandy, welcome in. Awesome. Check your Monroe Live account on Twitter. We sent you an invitation. If you want to come on and share your thoughts, you're more than welcome to.
Oh,
Cora
if
can
I
hook you
can,
up.
if I can, please, 2 seconds, Sandy. Thank you very much for that shout out when you said I was a good financial analyst. That was good. You made my day. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness! Look at this. How generous they are. $20, 5,000 viewers. Thank you, Monroe. We'll put that towards the wine / alcohol budget for the channel. We have Bradford Ferguson in the house as well, joining us. Thank you very much for joining us. I sent this link to different folks in the Tesla community just to get their thoughts. Bradford, can you hear us, my friend? 1, 2, check.
He took his headphones out.
Oh, all right. We'll wait for him to catch up here. Yeah, once he gets his headphones in, we'll get his opinion. Elon is introducing a lot of talented staff, so we kind of talked about that briefly. We saw the sort of picture of the robotaxi on the wraps when they were talking about the semi and the Cybertruck. So it looks like the robotaxi is the only car that they have left in their quote-unquote master plan of hitting every single division, right? What do you guys think about that? What was your reaction?
I mean, I was like, take that cover off, I want to see it, right? but I mean, give us the big one. The fact that the Cybertruck can charge at the Mega. I mean, that was the announcement of the night, because that means you can charge at 4 times the speed. I have currently a Model X, and it's perfect with going to a lot of superchargers with 250 watts, kilowatts. But can you imagine having 4 times the power? That means you're gonna, instead of 20 minutes, in 5 minutes you're charged. This is absolutely revolutionary. That was the news of the day.
Yeah, that's something that I'd be curious to learn more about, because I don't know how much that translates, because there's a certain point where you don't want to charge the batteries too fast. I mean, you guys probably all know this already, but with the degradation of the battery. But what's interesting is what I thought was even more interesting was how they have the liquid cooling built in, because as that charging increases, you have more amperage, and all your heat, everything they're talking about heat, comes from that higher amperage. And so the fact that they're dissipating that heat before it even gets there, I mean, it's fascinating. I would love to know more about it, but they definitely said this from a very 10,000 foot level. I'd like to know a lot more about the details, but that's exciting. And they said they're going to put it at all the superchargers. It's version 4 is what it said on the screen.
Exactly. Yeah. And so does that mean that the plug in the Cybertruck is actually looking different than the ones that's currently in the 3s and the it looks the same?
I think it's all going to be the same plug. It's just everything's going to be software limited on how it does it, right? Like when they decide, okay, we need to throttle back because we're charging too fast, there's degradation, right? I think everything will be handled through software. But I mean, I heard them say that, so we won't need to have a bigger plug or cord. That's what I heard. But
now I want my Cybertruck. I'm like, now I want it. Like, I have 3 orders in it, but I can't wait anymore.
I've been drinking those, so I might be wrong.
I think that, I mean, it implies that Cybertruck's probably going to go from 0 to 80%, and like, look at that. Cheers, Bradford. Cheers, my friend. It implies that Cybertruck's going to go from 0 to 80% in probably like 5 to 10 minutes, right? That's what the megawatt charger to me implies, if it's able to charge at that rate. Real quick, I want to give a couple shout outs. Andrew Wang, $20 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Look at all this. We're just adding this to the fund.
Kilowatts. I love kilowatts.
Kilowatts is awesome. Michael, thank you so much. $50. I mean, it's crazy. You guys are awesome. You love you guys. Disconnecting the drive of the 2 accelerating motors is brilliant, right? So that was the additional efficiency that was gained on the highway. What did you guys have any takeaways from that? How did you guys think about that?
I mean, the little engine it takes, can carry it away like a baby, and it pulls 82,000 kilograms. It's just absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild. Motors are amazing. I mean, like, motors are extremely underrated. I mean, even really large ships these days, they're still, I mean, really large ships these days can be, in certain ways, it can be powered by electricity. But the way most modern ships are built now, they're all diesel electric. So you have these diesel generators that create electricity, and then they store all this electricity in these big capacitor banks, and then these big capacitor banks release this electricity to these azimuth Z drives that are just these big motors that have, you know, propellers at the end, and they're just constantly rotating. But so, like, I mean, motors are absolutely incredible. It's electricity, it's magnetism, it's absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't ever like looked into how motors work, it is magic. It really is. It's the magic of the universe.
Right.
I'm not joking.
Like
It's
a real
magnetism,
engineer.
it's electricity, it's Tesla coils. I mean, like, it's so cool. That's why I got him back here. Tesla.
It's wild. Some other notes I have, the catering to drivers, there was zero talk about FSD at this conversation. There was zero talk about pushing some sort of software that will enable self-driving. And I think that was super premeditated, right? Exactly. Yeah, it was very premeditated, I think, because this is geared towards the driver. And there was a comment around how there's a surplus of drivers. So theoretically, our trucks being added to the fleet should not put anybody out of work. If anything, it should enable more drivers to come onto the scene. So that, I think that was a big takeaway that is like very important to ensure that it gets talked about, because with the truck driving jobs in the United States specifically, such a large percentage of the total workforce, that if you start scaring these drivers away with full self-driving talk, it could have the opposite effect on your brand. So that was a big takeaway for me.
And Tom is right. Tom is right in the comment. There's not a surplus of drivers. There's a shortage of drivers. So this wasn't about replacing non-existent drivers. It was about giving the current ones better working conditions. And I find very interesting that they didn't talk about the cabin in the back or whatever. It was, you go in, you have your 11-day job to do, and then you're done, because you have arrived where you wanted to be, and it's all just working out in your work day. You can stand in your cabin, you have a comfort in your cabin, you have your phone, your iPad, your iPhone. Everything was done to convince a driver to just have a much better experience.
Yeah, that's interesting. I always like to say when I don't know things, so I don't know a lot about the trucking industry, but I'd be interested if anyone in the comments know, do most semi-trucks have beds built into them so that when
the overnight ones
in the back? Yeah, the overnight ones, they sleep there.
It's interesting that they didn't show anything like that.
Well, I think they market it as a day cab. I don't think they market it as a night cab. I mean, they might be working on a version that will have that at some point. So I'm trying to figure out what percentage of the total trucking market requires. Yeah,
I know there's more in like day to day rather than this got scary. Spooky now. Let me tell you some things.
From day to night.
Don't let anyone in the dark make decisions, right?
Share your thoughts with us, Bradford. What do you think?
Well, I haven't caught what you all said yet, but I think they missed the opportunity. If you have these fleet operators watching the event, I think they should have made it like plain and clear the benefit to them for using Tesla Semi. It's obvious that there's like substantial cost savings, but I feel like they should have given some of that. Talk about how much they're going to save per mile.
I see.
I think that's a big deal. It's good they talked about the brakes. Maybe they could have got a little more specific about the brakes. Like maybe you'll never have to replace your brakes, or it'll last a certain number of miles, that kind of thing. I think they just is a missed opportunity that way. But we have Tesla fielding the best. This is the best semi in the world now. Like it's got the most performance. It's going to be the lowest cost to run. Like Tesla's basically going from zero to the best. Like there's nothing else comes close.
Do we know how much they sell them now? Because at one point it was 150, right? And then it went up to 220. Is that where we are now?
Yeah, they took them off the market. There was someone in the community, Xander Sky, who bought one. He's
there actually tonight. I sent Cindy the picture of him being there.
And then like right after he got the reservation, like they took it off.
That's it. No more retail investors getting one.
So Nikola's selling them for 360 allegedly, and the Tesla is better than that. We'll see if they could sell it for more. I doubt they like sell it at 220. Like the savings are too great.
Yeah. And then there is from January onwards the 40,000 credit, right?
That credit, yeah.
So this is directly applied to semis, $40,000 per vehicle off the price tag, essentially.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that to the manufacturer or to the purchaser?
The purchaser.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it was interesting. They didn't really talk any financial numbers about anything on this, which was interesting. They didn't talk about quantity to be delivered to Pepsi, or how the ramp's going to go, how many they plan on producing. I mean, I know he said in 2024 50,000. I think that's what he said on the earnings call. But yeah, there's all that was kind of hush hush. FSD, autopilot, all of that was hush hush. Yeah, it was interesting.
I guess maybe they could afford to undersell it because they probably have enough orders for however many they plan to make for a while. So I guess maybe that's why they did it. And at a later time, if they need to, they can get into some of the hard numbers.
How did you like the interaction between Dan Priestley and Elon?
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. Yeah.
Are you wondering how we know his name?
I saw you did some hard research. That was good.
Are you surprised, Bradford? Are you surprised by me?
No.
There you go. Alexandra in her rabbit hole.
Tesla community is good at digging. I guess one question for fleet operators is going to be software. They want to be able to connect into their software, monitor their drivers. I don't think they like sit there and watch videos of them, but basically they get the telematics of any semi on the road, I believe, and can see
But that's easy with the Tesla app, right? I mean, we can do that with our cars now.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to be complicated.
It should be, but does it plug into the software that the fleet operators have? Yeah. It would have been good if they said that.
I'm sure whatever they I mean, most softwares have APIs you can just tie into and pull whatever you need. So, I mean, if it's any decent software, it'll have APIs exposed that you can leverage.
Yeah. I'm seeing some comments talking about the 82,000 pound number. I just want to clarify 82,000 pounds is the total weight of the semi, the trailer plus the load. So it's not pulling 82,000 pounds.
It's kilo? Is it pounds or kilos?
82,000 pounds. Yeah.
Okay.
So 41 tons.
Yeah, that's right. So I just want to make sure there were some questions around that. Bradford, I have some. I'm just going down my list of notes that I took, and just as sort of you have a sort of that comes to mind based on the note, throw it out just like the rest of the crew here. But there was a conversation around 3 times the power. The semi truck is a beast, and the 1,000-volt powertrain, which was going to be used for other cars as well. That was what I heard, was that this 1,000-volt powertrain was going to be used in other cars. What other car would require that much? What is that? Is volt power? What is that for somebody who knows what they're talking about here? Is that how do we translate that to a powertrain?
Yeah, no. So volts is not power. Power uses volts to get power. So like, how do you describe volts? Volts is potential. Volts is potential. Is the best way to think about it. So like
an efficiency
V equals IR. So I is current resistance. So resistance times currents equals voltage. So I don't know how else to explain it. It's potential is what it is.
So I'm wondering, is that like an efficiency improvement down the road? Like, is this something that will be used in the robotaxi? Like how? Like, do you guys have any idea on how to think about that? If we don't have an answer, that's fine too. Like, we don't have to be experts on this, but I'm curious if anybody had any thoughts around that.
Drew was just playing down. Drew and Elon were just playing down like 800 volt. I think less than 6 months ago, they were saying, well, it saves you money these places here, but then you need all these parts to be on 800 volt, and then it costs you money. So it's kind of a push. So I was a little surprised that they said, oh, we're going to do 1,000 volt for other vehicles. I feel like they use the word vehicle. And maybe it's the Cybertruck, because they said that they're going to use this. The Cybertruck's going to be capable of accepting this megawatt charge.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. And like,
yeah.
So just imagine like all these superchargers are going to be deployed in California. This is the Southwest United States here. And Cybertruck is going to be this huge flex, show off vehicle, kind of like a Lamborghini. It's boxy, it's metallic, and you're going to be able to charge it at 1 megawatt in these chargers in California. Hopefully, like some of them are public. That's going to be a lot of fun.
and so quick, right? I mean, in and out.
Mm-hmm. I think
it's in the comments. Go ahead.
I think it's a bit of a function of like how many batteries they need to string together, that kind of thing. I wish I understood it more. It'd be good to have Jordan Giesecke on.
Yeah. Somebody in the comments said, will Sandy tear it down? I'm sure Sandy will tear it down. He just needs to get his hands on the semi. They're going to need some big tools to be able to take it apart. Because
a big investment. I mean, can you imagine paying 200,000 and then
they can get into a bigger warehouse, into a bigger space this way. They can use that to justify their move, Come on, Sandy and Corey, you can do it.
They got a plaid. I mean, it's like...
Yeah, for real,
there
right?
he goes. He says, heck yes.
Heck yes. Look at that. See? We heard it from the man himself. They're going to tear her apart. I love it. There was a comment around existing drive. They're going to utilize existing drive units, power electronics, infotainment, HVAC, AC converters. So leveraging units at volume to achieve extreme efficiency. So I loved hearing that, because from a per unit perspective, the Tesla Semi should have really good margins, super good margins. I had Sandy on a couple of weeks ago, and one of the questions I threw out was, do you think Tesla Semi, is it fair to say they're going to charge somewhere between $200,000 to $300,000 per unit, and they're going to make it a 50% gross margin? And what I heard back was they could probably charge more than that if they wanted to, but 50% margin, gross margin, is probably not out of the question. It's totally achievable. And I'm guessing this is how they're going to do it. It's by utilizing the existing supply chain and the existing parts to make that happen. And so if you sort of extrapolate that into the future, the Semi could be a pretty significant part of the business in respects to generating profit for the company. How do you guys think about that? Do you guys think about it as a big piece, a small piece, or is it sort of irrelevant in the picture? How do you?
I mean, by the quantity, I know Gary always says in his model he doesn't calculate then more than 50,000 trucks in 2024, right? So just by that, it's obviously a small piece of the whole product mix. There is no doubt about it. But coming back to your margins, didn't you think that was so typical Tesla, that the drinks and food that was there tonight was provided by the client?
Yeah.
And you think that wasn't that hilarious, right? We invite you to the party, but please bring the drink. That's it, right? Lean and mean machine again.
As an investor, I don't mind that.
Me neither. This is our money at work.
Yeah. Like at the shareholder meeting, like there was like no food or anything. I was like, I'm fine with this.
Exactly. I'm not paying your sandwich, are you?
And along the same lines,
I like that they're using the wrapping on the plaid motor, so using that technology again. So that's just going to help them scale that, the use of that. I'm curious if it's a totally new motor. It seemed like it's different. They talked about it being much smaller. I think the old motor would be like almost like this size. So, or maybe two of them would be that size.
Yeah, but that's including the gearbox. So, yeah. So I tried to like look into it like closely when they were showing it, but they didn't show it for long enough for me to actually understand what I was looking at. But yeah, like the motor itself is a lot smaller. Like the whole casing that includes the gearbox and everything. But so I'm just curious, like Bradford, Alexandra, Farzad, do you guys think that they're actually gonna be profitable with the Semi right out the gate, or do you think it's gonna take some time.
It all depends at what price they sell it. At 150, no. But given the 40,000 government incentive, they can build that in as a margin, right? And if you compare it, if Bradford is right that the Nikola, which is the closest competitor, is 360, I mean, there is so much money to be made. So yes, I hope so. And I don't think Elon is the type to throw these out after 5 years of having to pay research and development and getting it up now without making a margin on it. I think that those days are gone.
360 is the word I heard on Twitter, so I took that as truth. It may not be.
Yeah, well, they probably have to cut it now, right?
Yeah, I think it'll be really good. I'm curious if they're going to be able to use that same inverter. So they use the same inverter for the 3Y.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if they're going to be able to use that on the semi as well.
Same colors.
I think it's going to be fascinating to learn, like, how did they get it all down to the number of pounds they needed to in order to match what's out there. I mean, obviously you're getting rid of a transmission, you're getting rid of the fuel, you're getting rid of like a huge engine and the engine treatment. There's all kinds of things, drivetrain from front to back or whatever. I'm curious how all that worked. And
Bradford, did you see the presentation and how the truck pulled up the hill and left the other truck behind him?
Yeah, that was good.
That was just so cool. I mean, I can't get over it. I have to watch that again tonight. That was sick.
Yeah, I think the gross margin, like if they're going to be profitable right away, they're probably going to be hand building these for a little while, I'm going to guess, unless they have some sort of production line set up. So I don't expect this to be, put it this way, like the negative margin impact is going to be low and it's not going to be really material. And then by the time they get it to a volume that it's impactful, they're going to be well over break even. So like, I'm not really worried about the downside risk, but I think once they get to say 50,000 units per year, it's going to be significantly gross margin positive. Like I think 40 to 50% makes a lot of sense for that type of vehicle. And then you layer in the additional thing that they talked about was utilizing the semi internally as well within their own supply chain. So when I worked at the company, I was in supply chain, like I was dying. I literally every other week I was sending emails. Can somebody give us a freaking prototype? Can we use it? They're like, well, you know, we just don't have them. Right. So, that the cost savings of shipping stuff internally is going to be, depending on how many units they run, is going to be significant.
And you understood when he said you understood when he said that they will give them to their suppliers so that their suppliers, so this is not Tesla companies, that their suppliers can bring the supply to the Tesla companies with the trucks.
Got it.
And I mean, and don't think give means give for free. Don't think that.
Right.
It won't be for free. It's never for free.
How does that work if Tesla sells them to Tesla, like from a financial perspective?
Well, this is all within Tesla. I don't think this is an issue. The question of will they lease or rent or whatever them to the suppliers who are then external of Tesla and have to pay a monthly fee for it or mileage or have to deduct it from the you know, so maybe there are no delivery costs. Maybe you see before that they were for 1,000 parts, the parts cost and the delivery cost, and now the delivery will be free. That could be one way of doing it.
Yep. One of the things that one of the secrets of a lot of freight is, like, especially if you're shipping a lot of freight that's low cost, a significant percentage of the cost of that part is in transportation. Right. And especially say you're trying to ship something from, I don't know, Eastern Mexico to California as an example, and it's a 2-day route, an overnight route. That truck could be like, you know, $2,000 to $4,000 per container. And if your part is some cheapo part where the burden cost of that freight of that shipping cost is, I don't know, 10%. If you say, yo, just take the semi, then you just save 10% over time, right? Because then you just kind of like depreciate I don't know, like just some accounting stuff happens. You depreciate the cost of the truck, and then but over the long term, that you save 10% on that part, basically over the life of the.
Understood, and that will actually help as well with the now gone, surprise just when the semi arrives, end of quarter pushes, right? Because one of the problems they had, I think that came out last quarter, is how how they could get all these trucks, because all the companies renting them trucks or subcontracting them trucks, or however you want to call it, well, they were obviously in the known that Tesla would need them, and the prices spiked. Now you build up your own fleet, you don't need that anymore.
Yeah, Farzad, you sitting there talking about like they do some accounting stuff. That sounds like me on my earnings whenever I'm going through it and I get to EBITDA. I'm like, yeah, this is where some magic happens. Nobody really knows how this works, but somehow we get a number. Yeah, that's me with EBITDA.
That's not how it works.
You just wave a wand.
Tell them.
You wave a wand and just numbers happen, you know? But we got super chat here. Thank you, Zachary. $5 super chat. Ken, which one is better for Tesla bottom line? Billions of dollars in tax rebates credit for batteries from Joe Biden, or picture with president? I don't know. I have no idea.
Which president? The current or whoever the next one is?
No idea.
I think you made a good point, Farzad, about the shape of the rollout. So there's some kind of line in Nevada that the people at the event got to see. I'm curious how automated it is already or not. And then they're going to have the blueprint that they're going to send on probably to Austin, Texas, and they'll put in a real deal line there that's going to pump out 50,000.
Oh, you think they will? Oh, you think they will construct the mass ones in Austin rather than keep them in Nevada?
I would think so, but we'll see. There's a ton of room in Giga Texas.
But I wonder how much.
But in the United States, right? But in the United States, not outside.
Yeah, for sure, in the United States. And when they start in Texas, there's going to be a ramp to that, and they'll cost more than they're getting to sell them, even at like 400,000. Like the first few that they make will be, much more than that, but they'll get it down over time.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be at least a year before they're profitable with this, but it's still exciting. I mean, this is the best truck on the road, and all the legacy they're putting out these semis with 250 miles or 300 miles of charge, and I don't even know if they could do a full load or whatever, or do the elevation changes. They're in trouble.
Let me pose a question for the chat. So if you're a truck driver or running a fleet, in the comments section, sort of say, I'm a truck driver / fleet operator, and say what you like or don't like about the unveil. And then producer wife, as you see those come up, if you can bring them up for us to read, that would be awesome. Because I'm really curious to see.
Do you ever mean to get our on-site correspondent back? Because I mean, now I have even more questions to him, other than what did he get to eat finally? But I mean, he saw the line. How automated is it? That's the first very good question from Bradford. But also, how many were there trucks? I mean, we saw 4. It was actually nicely done how the train of the Pepsi truck was the stage, right? That was that was very cleverly done, and obviously low cost, not a penny too much. Always watching the bottom line. If we can get him back, I think that'd be great.
I can tell you what Emmett ate. He ate chips and Pepsi. Cheetos, Fritos, Doritos. That's what he ate. Lay's,
Penny Toes.
You're getting the first truck drivers.
Do you guys think? Oh, I'll let you read this.
No problem. Former truck driver, I don't like the seat in the middle. Why not? I would love to hear. I think I've read other truck drivers talk about this too. Is because on long hauls, you might not usually you bring somebody with you, so like you have them kind of next to you. You can talk to them. Let us know. Let us know where you don't like it, Jones. I would love to hear. Sorry, who was saying something?
Yeah, I was gonna say 2 things that kind of stuck out at me. One is I'm just kind of curious if they're going to eventually try to build the semis with a gigapress. I know I've seen like some things about Idra's got another big order, and I'd be curious if that's for like another Cybertruck line, or if it's for potential semi truck. Bradford raising his eyebrows like he knows something. But the other thing I found interesting, the The other thing I found interesting was, and maybe they did say, and I'm just inebriated, I'm not aware of it. But did they mention how fast the semi would charge? Because I think they completely avoided that.
Well, they had announced previously that 0 to 70% were in less than 30 minutes.
But wouldn't you think they would say that again here, or is this just another kind of missed opportunity? We're just going by the seat of our pants.
And they knew darn well what they were doing. The slides, even though his click didn't work, the slides were just prepared to give us this, and that was it, right? There was a couple of things that were definitely consciously not addressed.
And maybe Pepsi likes it that way. Like Pepsi's going to order a bunch of these before Coke even gets a chance or something.
And did you see there was a side table with a couple of cans, and I was like, in the back, I was there already. Can you check whether those are Coke cans or Pepsi cans? And this time they got it right. Oh, I'm so horrible.
If there were not Pepsi cans. What would be John, future fleet operator here? Why no mention of autopilot or FSD mentioned? Yeah, that's a great point. I really do think it was premeditated though, because I think there is a concerted effort where they're trying to market the truck to the drivers, like the people that are actually out there making money. If you start bringing in FSD and self-driving, then you start creating this, oh, you're taking away my job, right? It creates fear. It creates a barrier. I think it was very well sort of meditated to not introduce that language. And we talked about it briefly as well, Bradford, before you came on, about that sort of point. But I found that to be smart. Like, we know full self-driving in the long term is going to be a huge value creator and a cost saver for a lot of these places, but it will mean a giant disruption to the trucking industry in the United States. And there's a lot of very capable drivers that will no longer be needed 10, 20, 30 years down the road. And I think not telling that story is important to try
and let me just add that, let me add, nothing that was omitted was, everything that was omitted was done on purpose, and it was smart. All these subjects I didn't want to touch tonight. Now, I saw one of the comments saying, is this going to have an effect on the stock price tomorrow? I don't think at all. I mean, people that are interested in Tesla now see the semis there, but anybody interested in Tesla was able to see videos on the trucks before. This has been 5 years in the making. It's not the huge surprise, right? And they gave us very little on future products. The robotaxi was still under the cover. Okay, the Cybertruck may be able to charge at the megawatt chargers. That was great. I love that idea. But nothing that, that a stock analyst tomorrow would say, fair enough, I changed my model, I add something. Oh, there's Hans.
We got Hans. What's up, bro?
Hey. And none of the bounce back in the stock was because of people getting excited about the semi event. It was, there was a huge run up yesterday because of
Jerome.
Yeah, Jerome and China, and it none of this bounce back has been related to semi. Hans, I'm curious
or anything.
What you're thinking, if you're able to chat.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And then the 1,000 volt, and then the megawatt hour charger for the Cybertruck and the semi both of those were awesome announcements. And I'm just trying to process through. Nick, you may have to help me with this. If they're using 1,000 volt architecture and you've got a 1 megawatt hour charger, doesn't that mean that if it was able to charge at full capacity the whole time, that it would take 1 hour to charge the battery from zero? And it won't charge at full capacity the whole time.
Yeah, that's kind of something I was saying a little bit earlier. Like, when they were saying all that, even with the Cybertruck, yeah, you can do like the same kind of math that equates to like what we currently see today, but it seems like that's not going to be the reality of things, because I mean, again, maybe it's just because I'm used to, or we're all used to, what we know, and what we know is that there's a certain point where it's like filling up a parking lot. You only have so many spots, and as it gets full, right, you can't. Yeah, so there is some like physics. I'll say this like loosely, because obviously I don't know physics as well as they do, But yeah, I don't know. There's some thinking that has to go into this. I don't think it's just as clear as, well, there's a ratio here, so this ratio should equate over here, so there should be 10 minutes to charge up. I think there's there's more to it than that, and they didn't expound about it. I mean, they didn't really talk about a lot of stuff, but so yeah, I don't know. I know. I've been saying this all night. There's so much ambiguity. And as an engineer, I hate saying anything that I don't actually know or I haven't put pen to paper. What I can say is whatever you think it might be is probably wrong. It's exciting, but I don't think we can actually extrapolate any true ideas of any benefits right now.
They said earlier, Hans, that 0 to 70% was 30 minutes. So I don't think it's like, we got this 1,000 volt and 1 megawatt in our mind. There's amps as part of the calculation. So I don't think it's like a 1,000 amps or something like that, where it's just a straight line, takes an hour. It's a little more complicated than that.
Yeah, that was the part that I was trying to remember, is if there was just because they're using 1,000 volt architecture, I don't know that necessarily means that they can only operate the charger at that voltage. I think, I don't know. Like Nick said,
I think they can adjust all that with software.
Yeah.
I think software is going to be the medium or the ground truth for everything. I think everything physically will be able to do certain things, but then software is what's going to determine what can and what can't, and limiting, and when do we stop and when do we lower, right? I think it's all going to be done with software, just like the big recall in China today with headlights or rear lights not working. Software update. Like it feels like everything's going to be managed with software, and obviously everyone knows that, but I think that's the part that they're not talking about.
If they can stack these supercharger sites with solar and wind and mega packs, I think that would be huge.
My other big takeaway was, if they do put these in regular supercharging stations for the Cybertruck, that means you can actually roll up to a supercharger with a semi and charge. So they'll be able to basically dual use. They won't have to make purpose-built mega chargers. Like, you can actually charge semis at regular supercharging stations. Now, they may have to make some accommodations for size, but it could actually be a single station.
Yeah, I think the individual parking sort of like spot right now at most superchargers probably is not wide enough for a semi. So they would definitely have to make some adjustments for sure.
True. Especially if they're loaded.
Yeah.
That's true.
If
While I have a little break, just 2 seconds, I have to go. My French husband is hungry for dinner. So
what's he
there's
cooking?
no way. I have no idea. I can just smell it. I mean, he is cooking. He's been cooking for 25 years, but he's just, you're like, it's dinner time.
I'm sitting there watching with the towel over the shoulder. He's going back and forth. I'm like, oh, I'm getting hungry.
He's cooking, and you should smell it. It's just perfect. But he's like, c'est l'heure de manger. And I'm like, okay, I think it's time. So I let you all go, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much for joining us, Alexandra. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Enjoy your dinner.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. How do you say goodbye in French? Bonjour.
Au revoir.
That's hello.
Bonjour.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Dude,
Au
I am the worst
revoir.
French person on earth.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Bradford with the accent, the pronunciation.
Maybe with the charging, you can unhook the semi quickly and hook it back up. You definitely need some flat ground, though. Gonna unhook the trailer.
I wonder if, I think most parking lots probably aren't outfitted for dropping the trailer, though. Like, where would you, it would have to be at a, I have a tough time seeing the semi charging anywhere but a dedicated semi charger.
Yeah.
Because it's,
well, think about like a Love's or a Current truck stop where you have both cars and trucks there. So basically they could do a deal with one of those Travel America or Love's or whatever, and they could have a group of superchargers there that some of them are going to be set up to allow pull-through semi, and some of them will be set up dedicated for cars, but it'll be one single architecture for all the chargers.
Hans, you live in Texas, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, that's how you know. That's how you know right there. To talk about the gas station. Texas has the biggest gas station you've ever seen in your
Buc-ee's,
life.
baby.
I didn't say anything about Buc-ee's.
But yeah, I think that's
We
a
got
great
a
point.
straight up Walmart in the middle of our gas station. It's ridiculous.
It's sick.
There already are some spaces at some supercharger locations where there's like a normal slot would be like this, and then there's like this extra strip on the side, and people are wondering if that was for Cybertruck. Maybe it's for Cybertruck and Semi. I'm curious where the charger is, and I'm curious if people found out at the event where that plug is at.
It's the one comment you said, Bradford, earlier, where you said that they could have done a better job catering to the fleet operator. I think that makes a lot of sense. It really does. What was interesting to me though, that I do feel like they were catering to the driver. That was sort of my takeaway. Like they were catering to the person who's going to experience the product, and I feel like that's a very Tesla thing to do, which is like, think about the person who's utilizing the product first, and what are the wins they're going to get from being part of that thing, do you think the cost, like within that lens, do you think if they spoke about the advantages to the fleet operator would maybe not be something that the the people that actually use the product, like, how do you think about that? Right.
That's a great point. Maybe they already have several fleet operators on board, and they really want the drivers to push for, some fleet operators that are on the fence to get it. So I think you're right. Like, drivers don't care how much it costs.
Right. They want to
or how much it saves or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, they have to have some channel of communication open with fleet operators to accept orders. And so that's the one thing, like, we don't have any visibility as retail shareholders into what that looks like. And so, I have no idea. Maybe that's the channel that they're using to make that case.
That's fair.
It's interesting that they're the way they spoke about the feedback loop made it sound like the idea of full self-driving semis is somewhat far off, because clearly they care a lot about the user experience. And if you care so much about the user experience, that just kind of, to me, signals that FSD for semis is pretty far off. But I could easily see where it becomes more like airplanes, where a lot of airplanes do point-to-point flights on autopilot, but you need to have the pilot there as a security measure. And I could see semis kind of adopting that. But did you guys find that as any, like, not a red flag for semis and this whole vision of replacing train? Or go ahead, Farzad.
No, I think to me, again, it goes back to, I think it's very important for the messaging to be pro-driver, because ultimately that's what's going to enable Tesla to get these up and running as quickly as humanly possible. So even if they don't have, realistically, Semi, I don't think it's going to have a full self-driving solution for at least another 2 years. At least another 2 years. But you can't announce production on December 2022 and not sell any for the next 4 years if you're saying, like, hey, this thing's going to replace your driver eventually. Like, if that's the messaging you're driving towards, like, a lot of fleet operators are going to be hesitant to bring this on, I feel like, because they might have a revolt on their hands. Oh my God, Pepsi's freaking putting us out of a job. Fuck Pepsi. We're going to go on strike. I don't know. Like, I feel like the timing of the full self-driving is probably much quicker than we think still. And I think it's just messaging. I think Tesla's wising up on messaging. And like, this is a very positive thing I saw from this presentation, was the messaging was very calculated. It was very on point. I would love to hear y'all's opinions on that, because I might be just, in dreamland, but that was my takeaway, like, specifically tied to that comment that you just made.
I think the other option is that it may indicate that they're thinking more along the lines of platooning. And when you think about the cost, going back to the fact that if you're operating platooning, you're probably beating freight price of rail. And so the demand that you have, like the ultimate TAM, expands so rapidly that you still would be operating at a truck driver shortage, even with platooning, assuming that you can produce a quantity of vehicles that can satisfy the market for it. And so there could be a very real world where we have essentially autonomous trucking and we still are operating at a truck driver shortage.
And this is sort of like your theory around it replacing rail long term, right? Potentially.
Yeah.
But
well, not replacing, but definitely taking a big chunk of rail and moving it on road.
So when you say platooning, are you saying there's one lead truck driver and then the rest are following? So you still need a truck driver? That's what you're saying? But so
yeah, one, and you could even have teams like, so, because of the way that all of the hour logs work, you could have one truck driver who's responsible in the lead, and then you could have a second truck driver following, and then they switch back and forth, who's in the lead, who's responsible, and then they have a train of autonomous trucks following them. And you have basically straight through nonstop transportation to the destination. It would be a very easy way to drastically increase the amount of freight that you can transport from one place to another.
But if you could do that and get from point A to point B, then what's the point of even having the driver at that point?
I think liability standpoint, because trucks are so heavy, there's law firms that the only thing that they do is litigate truck driver crashes. And it's a high stakes game, and there's a lot of politics also involved in that. I could see them wanting to just be conservative and say, hey, we're going to keep basically operated like FSD beta, where there is a truck driver who is responsible for the platoon at all times, even though it's operating, like you said, kind of like an airliner would. The software is doing most of the driving, but there is a driver who's ultimately responsible for the platoon at all times. And then the other deal is it allows you to solve any corner cases that you could run into, getting them off of the freeway into whatever yards that they've got to get to load and unload.
Interesting. I appreciate that comment quite a bit. There is I got a DM from somebody on Twitter. I want to read it real quick because I was just let me go ahead and share my screen. Actually, this is from Frugal Pockets on Twitter.
Great name.
It's very good. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Producer wife, I'm going to take control here for just a hot second. By the way, can we give producer wife a round of applause here for the amazing work she's been doing? Thank you so much, producer wife. Killing it.
The queen. The queen wife.
The queen of streams. Hell yeah. Hey, Farzad, I'm a dispatcher in a trucking company. This is huge as in relation to Tesla Semi. Again, take it for a grain of salt, like as a grain of salt. Like this is, I'm just reading a comment that somebody sent me on Twitter DM. Let's say if you have a fleet of 10 trucks, you will get on average 2,500 miles a week at least. That's 25,000 miles driven divided by 6 miles per gallon for diesel. That's 4,200 gallons times $6 average price per gallon nationwide equals $25,000. So basically $1 per mile. If you use electricity of 2 kilowatt per hour times 2,500 miles equals 50,000 kilowatt hours times 15 cents per kilowatt hour. That's 7,500. That is 3.33 times cheaper than fuel. 1 mile minus 3 cents. If you pay drivers 7 cents a mile, that is basically a free driver. So from the economics of just fuel efficiency, we have a dispatcher in a trucker company sort of voicing their opinion that this, from a cost savings perspective, makes a ton of sense. Which on one of the videos that we put together in streams, we sat down and we sort of ran through this math, and it was quite clear that when you put diesel versus electricity, it's just such a no-brainer when it comes especially to a semi truck. The question becomes charging capability, where you can charge, right? And ensuring that the uptime of the truck is just as good, if not better, than the diesel counterpart. If you're able to match those things, this thing is a complete and utter no-brainer. And thank you to Frugal Pockets for sending that DM. Appreciate you. I do read DMs, by the way. If you DM me, I do read them. Sometimes I don't reply, but I do try my best. I get a lot. But thank you very much for sharing that. Any thoughts there from the panel?
Yeah, I read the back of semi trucks sometimes, and it's what you might see is like 56 cents a mile they'll pay a driver. So he's saying that it can be up to 70 cents a mile that they're paying drivers nowadays, just with the shortage of labor and all that. So that's a really big deal. The savings on the gas is essentially giving you a free driver. That's pretty breathtaking.
Think about that from a staffing perspective, that if you're operating a fleet of Tesla semis, you can afford to pay drivers more than your competitors can. And so you can capture more of the market and transport more freight. That's basically what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because like in a market where you can't get enough drivers, well, the person who pays the most, they've got the drivers, and all the people that can't pay that much, the drivers don't go to them.
Can we talk about something in your sweet spot, Farzad?
Sure. Actually, I want to make an announcement real quick. Corey from Monroe Live is about to join us. Just a heads up. So he's about to jump on. We're about to get a hardcore engineer's perspective. Go ahead. Ask me whatever you want to ask me, Bradford.
So I know there's at least one service area that they're building up for semi out west, and I don't know if there's one in Canada too, in Western Canada. I'm guessing it's going to be really important for Tesla to, build up a parts surplus, but have the ability to fix these fast, or possibly have replacement semis they can give people if one breaks down. Any thoughts when you put that hat on for a bit, Farzad?
Yeah, I mean, the way I've fucked the NDA, like it's been over a year. I'm over it. Sorry, Elon. No, I won't divulge anything crazy. So the way it usually happens when Tesla had a new product launch is that the service distribution network would get a majority of the parts, if not all the parts, ahead of that launch, or in sort of align with that launch. So say semi truck is going out to the customer base now. In theory, there's going to be at least one warehouse somewhere in the network that's going to be housing, at the very least, the most critical parts that if they fail, they can get replaced immediately. There may be gaps here and there depending on the supply chain and sort of the health of that and what suppliers we have on board and sort of some of the craziness that happens with that. But by and large, the team does a pretty good job of ensuring that places have the inventory to be able to service them. Where they get serviced becomes a different question, because I find it hard to believe that any service center right now theoretically would be able to pull in a semi and service it, say the drive unit goes out, right? Because you probably need a lift of some sort, and good luck utilizing a lift you have right now in a service center to be able to lift that semi up and work on it. Like, it's going to be literally too tall, it will hit the ceiling, right? So there needs to be a rollout of service centers for semis that coincide with where these semis are going to be operating in, right? So right now, it's probably difficult for Tesla to have a semi truck that can go cross country, because that means you're going to need a service center at some locations that make sense, and that could mean taking some of the flyover states, and I hate calling them that, but let's just call them the flyover states in the United States that are able to also take in the semi, right? So there's going to have to be some outfitting of that, but it's a super high priority, because the last thing you want is to have a semi truck that's out on the road, this new product that is all of a sudden, if it fails, the fleet operator or the driver is completely screwed. And then sorry, we can't get your truck back for like another 2 months. And that might be the case for the next couple of weeks, for the next, if a semi breaks down in say the next 1 to 3 months, there's probably going to be a long wait for you to get your semi back. But over time, that's the sort of thought process. And as volumes go up, it's going to be super important for the distribution network to be able to house the parts, the necessary parts, and build out the necessary service center network to be able to take these on. It could be a hybrid. Like if it was me, I would make the service centers that are in these sort of states that are not dense but super high trafficked by semi trucks, ensure that they're able to take on at least one semi truck for servicing in case something does happen. That's how I would think about it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So do you think they're going to focus it like California, Arizona, New Mexico, maybe, and then maybe Texas, and that's it for now, basically?
Yeah, I think that if I was going to design the rollout, I would, because they're also going to use it internally, right? That was something they said, is that we're going to start using those internally as well. So Gigafactory in Nevada to Austin and Fremont makes a ton of sense. So getting that corridor built out. And then over time, as the semi truck starts traveling more east, there's a warehouse in Pennsylvania. There's a warehouse, I think, in Chicago. There's one in Florida. These are small warehouses, but they're all over the place. If you start leveraging that route to deliver parts to, say, service centers and body shops and the distribution networks, then those nodes in between need to be outfitted to be able to service a semi truck rather. So it's complex, but it's not really that different than what they did already with the cars. It's just bigger, right? That's just really what it is. It's the same, but bigger. And that's how I bet you $1 million. That's the directive we would get from, like, it's just the same, but bigger. Like, okay, great, but I'm out of room. So what the fuck do you want me to do? Right. Like that's so like that's how the supply chain team is going to have to think through it. So but just a little bit bigger inside baseball. Yeah.
Bigger in form factor, not volume, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Bigger. But that in itself, if you think about, I don't know what the state of the Tesla supply chain is and the distribution network is right now, but if, say, they're already capped out at how much space they can hold for parts, theoretically they're probably already investing in additional space to be able to house these bigger parts, because if these semis get into a collision and, say, the front or the side gets damaged, you need that part somewhere. You need to be able to replace that door or that whatever, the bumper, the fascia, the covering in the back. You need the wheels and the tires in stock too. Like, these are pretty large items, and whatever else you may need. So, and the seats, like stuff like that you need in stock, and those are big parts. But yeah, that requires a lot of room.
But, and again, you know more than I do, so you keep me honest here. But it sounds like they're going to be using the plaid motors. It sounds like they're going to, I assume they're going to be using the same inverters on everything. It sounds like they're using the same cooling system. It sounds like they're using the same LCD screens. I mean, so much of what they're using is the same. Yeah. So
they're not using the same windshield. They're not using the same panels. They're not using the same trim. These are the things that take up all the space. That's the shit that really takes up space. Especially in a collision, for sure. Yeah. Like, I'll give you an example. Dude. Like, around this time of the year, say between October and March, it would be fascia season, we would call it. Like, of the front fascias and the back fascias of the cars, because everybody's getting into front and rear collisions because of snow, and we're shipping hundreds of fascias a day, and these things are giant. So, like, you have to, like, giant relative to the other parts. So you have to cater, you have to, like, customize your outbound procedure and your inventory to be able to not just take in a surplus of fascias versus the rest of the season, is to also ensure you have a outbound process that can process these larger parts, because how you pack out these parts and how you service these parts is very different than just like a screen or something. The form factor of the part dictates so much of how the sort of the distribution network and the servicing network operates within that context, right? And we have Corey. What's up, dude? You look great. Look at you, man. Working hard. I love it. We're talking about the service distribution of Tesla for the semi, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, man. What's your takeaway? What are your takeaways from this event?
So I actually missed the middle portion of the event, but I want to talk about the actual vehicle itself, particularly with the advantage that Tesla will have based on their experience with the development of their high voltage architectures in the Model 3 and the Model Y. Sandy and I toured the Nikola factory, and we saw how they were building the Tre BEV truck and their hydrogen truck, and they were horrendously inefficient from an integration perspective. So I have a feeling that the high voltage architectures of these Tesla semis are going to be phenomenal. And similarly with the Cybertruck, they're going to take everything that they've learned and apply that to the Cybertruck. So, on Monroe Live, we're tearing these things down. So I'm just keenly interested in the actual execution of the vehicle itself.
Nice. Are you guys? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, I was say, Corey, you said you missed the middle of it. Did you hear them talk at all about the Cybertruck and being able to use the megawatt charger?
Yeah, I did. And we discovered the patent on the liquid cooled charging cable, I think in 2018 or 19. So our team reads all the patents for Tesla, including the octovalve patents. So when we bought the Model Y and tore down the octovalve and the super manifold, we actually noticed that the patents were wide ranging and didn't actually cover the exact execution that was launched on the octovalve and on the super manifold. So we didn't know if the liquid cooled charging cable was like diversion tactics, but it's nice to hear that they're actually going to use it.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the issues as far as, like, we all know, right, the issues that happen whenever you're charging the battery, especially as it gets closer to completion? I mean, obviously the chemistry dependencies changed everything, but what are your thoughts on the fact that we'd be able to use the same megawatt charger for the Cybertruck as for the Tesla Semi? I mean, do you, like, I know we don't have a lot of details on it, but how do you see the math of that? Because I think a lot of people are going to run away and like, oh, I can charge a Cybertruck in 5 minutes. And for me, there's a lot missing there.
So there's the chemistry limitations of lithium ion batteries, and then the chemistry choice, whether you're NCMA or lithium polymer, that actually varies your ability to charge. Then there's the choice of materials on the bus bars that can be limiting factors. So we're currently tearing down 2 EVs not related to Monroe Live, and their choice of materials for bus bars and the layout of the modules themselves inside the battery pack, that's the limiting factor for their ability to charge for heat dissipation and resistance buildup. So oftentimes there's decision factors for cost that impact your ability to charge. And then the materials you're using in your onboard charger. Some of the early EVs had really weak onboard chargers. I think you can still buy a Chevy Bolt that can barely charge fast at all. I forget how weak they are. So it's the onboard charger is what I'm most interested in tearing down. And there's a lot of new technology in the charging materials, particularly gallium nitride. If you're familiar with silicon carbide, and gallium nitride, there's actually a company that sells chargers like for your iPhone that charge faster in a really small package from Anker. They're using gallium nitride. So we actually bought some of those to tear down to study the chips on those boards. So I'll be really interested to see what the onboard charger looks like, because that's typically your major limiting factor is the wattage that the onboard charger can handle. And then how it talks to your charging grid. So I had a Rivian R1S over the break. It was a press vehicle from Rivian, VIN number 00140. I took it to charge at a EV Go charge place, and I thought I was going to get 350 kilowatts, and I got 80, and then it shut off after 6 minutes when I went into the mall, and I came out and it only got like nothing. It was like the worst experience ever. So you really have to have a nice relationship with your charging infrastructure. Otherwise, an amazing ability to charge and an amazing onboard charger is kind of irrelevant. I think Tesla is light years ahead with their charging infrastructure.
Got it.
And did you hear the part where they talked about using 1,000-volt architecture?
Yeah. So this 1,000-volt architecture or 800 volt architecture, there's some advantages in your wire size. And you actually saw this on a smaller level when some OEMs switched from 12 volt to 48 volt systems for internal combustion engine vehicles. A lot of German OEMs did this, particularly for your high amperage systems like your steering rack, a couple of your starter, BSGs, belt start generators. This is before the move to EVs and mild hybrids. The real benefit there is cost reduction in wiring. So when you have a higher voltage, you can shrink the size of your wiring. And you get a lot of advantages running higher voltages because your bus bar sizing can drop. So the cost of those, they're not precious metals, but they're expensive metals. So throughout your battery pack and your high voltage electronics, you can shrink the size of all your wiring and your connectors, which are a primary cost driver in high voltage architecture.
And so since they're using the Plaid motors as the drivetrain, and they talked about using the one for just steady state driving and then having the second and third that they could clutch in as needed, are they operating those at the same voltage that they would be operating in the Plaid, and then just being able to run more, basically not necessarily in parallel? Like,
yeah, so I didn't catch that part of the presentation, but the Plaid system's a 400 volt system, or 360 volt nominal, about 400 volt system, where so if you look at most diesel over the road trucks, they're actually low horsepower, high torque. So the reason why they're most likely using the carbon fiber wrapped is because if they're getting a high amount of torque, they're spinning at a very high RPM. So if they're spinning at a very high RPM, they're generating a huge amount of torque. I don't know what the gear ratio will be, but it's got to be way over 9-to-1. So the gearboxes in most of the Teslas are like 9.046-to-1. And they're almost all the same, front and rear, Model Y, Model 3. We've torn down all of them. And I believe the Plaid gear ratios are the same. And the gear ratio in the Semi is going to be completely different. I didn't even get a chance to catch it, but you're going to be high torque, lower power, high RPM. That matches the amount of output that you would have from a very, very high torque, low horsepower inline six diesel engine is what you typically have. I mean, semis from the 1980s and 90s have less horsepower and about the same amount of torque as a modern inline six diesel engine from Cummins in like a Ram. So it's incredible. I know this is an EV discussion, but Monroe spent 2 decades studying internal combustion engine powertrains, and if you're trying to draw parallels between them.
Hey, we can talk engines. My background is mechanical engineering, so I'm a 2-stroke, 4-stroke guy over here.
and wait, I got to give a shout out to Bradford. Thanks for the tequila. You're still one of my favorite people on our road trip. Thank you.
You're welcome. I got a question about the inverter, Corey. Is it possible with the much higher voltage that they'd still be able to reuse that same inverter that they're using in every car they have now?
They would need to use the inverter that runs the rear motors, not the front. Tesla currently uses silicon chips on the induction motors in the front, and they actually have they reduce some of the chips on the front motors. The rear is using silicon carbide. Silicon carbide chips can handle up to 800 to 1,000 volts. And the gallium nitride can handle even more. And that's yet to be deployed in any current OEM. But we're getting a lot of inquiries to study gallium nitride utilization for inverters. I think we're still like probably 3 to 5 years away, but that's a real thing. That's not like solid state battery. Like, I know gallium nitrade's real.
That's a hot take.
And I have a question for Bradford, actually. So each battery pack for this, the Tesla Semi, equates to what, 12 or 13 battery packs for Model 3s or Model Ys based on kilowatt hours.
Yeah.
Do you think Tesla doesn't want to sell tens or hundreds of thousands of these semis because it'll impact the mineral supply, particularly nickel, cobalt, manganese, aluminum, for their commercial vehicles? Would you rather sell 13 Model Ys or one semi?
Yeah, I saw some analysis on Twitter about this where I think Tesla needs to sell it for like at least 350,000, and maybe even more than that to kind of break even on the batteries, like the profit per battery. Like if the limiting factor is your critical minerals and metals, then you want to maximize profit per lithium, per nickel, etc. So I think that's a good reason why we should see the price of the semi come way up.
Yeah.
Is that assuming 2170, or is that assuming volume of each metal?
I'm kind of assuming right now it's 2170. Yeah. I think people are looking at it versus Model Y, the profit in the Model Y, because Model Y is, very profitable.
I do wonder though if there is a because one of the leading slides for the presentation was we're doing this because it's one of the most polluting per unit basis vehicles out there. So profit be damned, we're doing it for the environment, So it's almost like this is Tesla going back to their quote unquote roots, I feel like, with the semi, of trying to bring a product forward that's it was initially sort of heralded as this environmental thing that's super cool, and maybe the semis is sort of the quote unquote return of form from that perspective. But let's not kid ourselves, it's going to be ridiculously profitable as well if we're sort of like thinking about how they're leveraging the existing supply chain and all that good stuff, right? So to me it's a signal, and I love to hear everyone's take, but like to me it's a signal that the supply chain that they've built for the supply is to the point where they can say, okay, the surplus supply we could create for the Model Y right now, we don't think we need that extra demand, so let's just push it towards the semi and get that thing going, so that in 5 to 10 years time we're shipping 300,000 to 400,000 semis a year instead of 50,000, right? So let's get it rolling, let's get it started so we can get it to that point. I don't know if you all agree with that, but that's how I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, the utilization of the semi is much more than the car. So environmentally, going through the batteries faster, so then you can recycle them at the end of life. That's gonna be a thing. I wonder I wonder about all this math that goes into it, but I gotta think like the semi is better for the mission. And if you could chew through the batteries faster, like people driving the cars, it'll take them 20 years to get to 300,000 miles, and that's kind of when the batteries get to like around 80%. But with the semi, if they put in the right additives on the battery, maybe the batteries last 1 million miles, and then you're it takes about maybe 6 to 10 years to go to 1 million miles. So, there's a lot of math in there.
But I think it's just it's back of the napkin math will say that like the semi is not going to make you more money than the Model Y, but you're still building it anyway. So it's like it's a profit be damned statement for me. It's like we're getting this going. We're going to make a shit ton of money with FSD and the robo-taxi network in the next 3 to 5 years. This is important to ensure that people that live on highways don't die from freaking pneumonia. I don't know. Like it's thinking about humanity, I think it's important for a brand to have that sort of thought process. And Hans, I saw you go off mute. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that assuming that the robo-taxi vehicle uses a lithium iron phosphate chemistry, then the semi will be a chemistry that is independent of the robotaxi, and so those two things should not necessarily overlap each other. But it is a really tough question to think about because 50,000 semis in 2024, if that's what they're targeting. I think it was 2024. Somebody check me on that. But that's equivalent to between 600,000 and 650,000 regular Model Ys that would be, a long range, because they would be a nickel chemistry. So that's a lot of cars that you're talking about offsetting with a semi.
Yeah, I agree with Hans there. I think there's like a it's all about efficiency, right? So it's not just about efficiency today or this quarter or this year, but it's also about the bigger picture. So what makes the most sense for the mission? What makes the most sense for, first principles, thinking about using nickel versus LFP versus the form factor, meaning robotaxi or semi, and what makes the most sense on all of that, and where, it's like a Venn diagram. Where do all those align to make the perfect sense? And so, yeah, I think there's like a sweet spot with all of that. Not to change the subject, but I don't always get to talk to Corey, so I'm just really curious. Corey, any thoughts on FSD beta version 11 coming out soon and 10.69.3? I'm biased. I live in a kind of not geofenced area, but I'm a echo chamber of my own geo where it works amazingly. Just curious on your take on full self-driving autonomy on the whole, not just Tesla.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've outsourced all of our FSD beta testing to Mike Lane and 2 other people at Monroe. We have to divide and conquer. We have people who do hoist reviews. We have people who do suspension. But I rode with John from Silicon Valley Tesla back in 2021, and that blew me away in Fremont. I think what's important for people to realize about FSD beta is, I think Tesla's lead is so great that many of the other OEMs, I think, are giving up. Ford
That's all I want to hear.
Yeah. And I can't say who, but I live in Detroit, so I have lunches with friends, and I've ran into 2 or 3 people from GM, and I'm like, hey, where's my Lyric? And they've intimated that it's because the Super Cruise or the Ultra Cruise just isn't working right yet. And they can't build them, and they can't get it to work. And I'm not going to name names, but these are people who would know. And it's kind of embarrassing that you have these multi-billion-dollar organizations that are this far behind. And I drive a GM product, embarrassingly now. I drive a Yukon, and it doesn't even have it just has the ping pong thing where it bounces on the lines, and it drives me crazy because I had the R1S for just like 5 or 6 days, and even Rivian's is way better. Rivian actually lane keeps. So I'm really the wrong person to ask for the detailed FSD beta stuff. I know that our team, our Model 3 that we own, will get it. It should get it, but we're in Michigan, so I'm not up to date on if we're going to get it in the right area or not. So sorry, I can't help you out there. I'm more of the hardware guy, not the software guy.
No, fair enough. I appreciate the candidness there, and yeah, that whole if this then that logic for autonomous vehicles doesn't really work that well.
Yeah.
So there's this rumor about the Model 3 that Tesla is going to be doing some stuff to it. They may do a facelift, but I'm curious about what Tesla may do under the hood. Would it make sense for them to do this 1,000-volt for Model 3 and then trickle it out to all their models? Or might we see like the cool heated seat or the power steering that doesn't need to stay on the whole time? Or what other changes might we see?
So who's this question for?
Asking you, Corey.
Okay. All right.
Hardware guy.
my favorite part about Tesla's high voltage architecture is the cascading effect through their entire lineup of cars. So we saw early Tesla Model S's and X's in our benchmarking endeavors in 2013, 14, 15. And frankly, they were like Frankenstein cars, horribly fragmented. The accelerator pedal was from Ford Motor Company. I mean, they just weren't that impressive. And then when the Model 3 came out, that blew Sandy and I away, particularly with the super bottle for the thermal system, pre-octo valve, and then the elegance and the efficiency of the front and rear drive units. We call them EDMs. The fact that the inverter was integrated into the EDM, the fact that there was no high voltage PTC heater for the ethylene glycol fluid, just like these amazing things that we've never seen in EVs or even PHEVs or MHEVs. Then fast forward, they took that high voltage architecture, 400 volts, they put in the Model Y, they improved it with the octo valve. Then they took that octo valve thermal system made it backwards compatible to all the new Model 3s. And then we got our Model S Plaid, and it's the same motor architecture. So even though it's slightly different, the gearbox, the gearing, the thermal system, the inverter, when we pulled the inverter off of the Model S Plaid, it said Model 3 on the board. So when you buy a Plaid, you have Model 3 inverters. It says Model 3 on the board because it's the same. That level of commonality is something that you want that to last at least 7 to 10 years from a cost perspective. And maybe Bradford, you can speak on this, to amortize all that tooling and all that effort. So it'll be interesting to see their next architecture, and hopefully their next architecture cascades across all their vehicles. So when the Model 3 and the Model Y came out, Sandy and I both said this is like 6 to 7 years ahead of anything. There are some OEMs that are launching systems that are nearly as elegant and have a lot of virtues and features that are close, but they're coming out now in 2022 when we first saw this in late 2017, early 2018. So I guess the answer is probably, but not in the near future for the core offerings, because that architecture is so prevalent. It's across everything. And they're just now building 4680 packs on 400 volt 4680 packs. Like, I don't know, they've made 10,000 of them, and they haven't even built them in Germany yet. So I think we have a half a decade at least of manufacturing this current high voltage strategy from Tesla, and you'll see it 2027, 2030, and you'll see it in some of their vehicles, and then they'll phase out the 400 volt systems, but it'll be a long time.
Speaking of half a decade, like, when can we get you into a Tesla, Corey? Are they going to need to, like, is a Cybertruck going to be it, or you're in a Yukon? So do you need a cyber van, or what do you need?
What's tough is I'm struggling to shake my Nebraskan roots. I live on 2 acres. My house is a ranch that's 4,600 square feet. I have a dog, 3 children, a wife, a stroller. I had a smaller Yukon, and it was tiny. I couldn't fit anything in it. And I know I want an electric 3-row SUV that's huge. I don't need 500 miles of range. I just need 200 miles of range. Just make it. Someone make it. I'll buy it. It'll probably be 140 grand. I don't care. just make it. I don't want a Cybertruck. I want a cyber SUV, a cyber suburban. They should call it the X Urban or something.
I like that. I think, do you think Tesla would come out with a vehicle like that? Do you think that's in their product roadmap, or do you think after Cybertruck and the $25,000 car, the robotaxi, that's it? That's what we got. Plus a van. I guess they have a van coming out as well, right?
Yeah,
I think they talked about.
I don't think it's in their roadmap, but other OEMs have them in their plans for sure. Probably like the Navigator, the Escalade, the Suburban, the Yukon, the Expedition. Because they usually lead with the trucks, and then a year and a half, 2 years later, they'll have the SUV. So GM has their truck, Ford has their truck. They just put an SUV body on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a Lightning edition of the Expedition shortly.
Gotcha. Maybe one question from me, and then I know we're over 3 hours in, so we should probably think about wrapping this sucker up at some point here. But it's just having so much fun. Thank you, Corey, by the way, for making the time, man. Like your thoughts are so valuable, and the fact that you decided to come on, dude, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. Seriously, it's awesome. So now with the Semi being out, and Tesla has Cybertruck coming up. They have all these different vehicles going down the road. Now you have companies in GM and Ford, but now you have companies like Freightliner. There's some other semi-truck companies as well that are going to experience some potential disruption here in the next, maybe I shouldn't even use the word potential. It's very likely that these companies are going to get disrupted. How do you view Tesla's roadmap for the next, say, 3 to 5 years? And sort of, how do you think about the type of effort that has to be done by competitors to try and be part of this new sort of wave, especially with the Semi now being a real thing that was, before said, hey, this is impossible. There's no way it can do 500 miles in one charge and so on and so forth. I'm curious to hear your take. We've heard Sandy's a couple of weeks ago. You're exposed to a lot of this stuff as well. And of course, you work with a lot of different companies as well. So I don't want you to say things that, might damage those relationships, but like, how do you think about that? What's going through your mind?
Oh, is that from me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I think one really important aspect is they showcased a city truck. This was not a long haul truck with a bed in the back. And the majority of trucking in the United States is long haul. And I think that's really important to note. And this will be great for cities because if you have a city fleet, so you can still have a long haul truck. I know they said 500 miles, but you got to build a really crazy infrastructure. The vehicle is not set up for your typical long haul truckers. And I actually have a really good experience with that. My dad was a diesel mechanic, and his whole life he worked on semis. And when I was a kid, I actually went and worked with him. He supported Yellow Freight, YRC, Yellow and Roadway Corporation. I've done more brake jobs on semis. I drove a semi at the age of 12, a manual one. I know you had a question earlier, like anyone drive one? I've driven them. And the city ones are smaller, they're lower performance, they don't have to have the same requirements. So I think Sandy is a huge proponent of hydrogen for long haul trucking, and the mass of the battery is going to be a huge detriment to total load. So I'd like to understand the mass of the battery, because I know what a 100 kilowatt hour battery weighs, but a megawatt battery weighs 10 times as much. So that weight means you can no longer haul as much. So they said they had 82,000 pounds, but
yeah, they never did say how much load they were carrying.
Was that the whole truck? I wanted to know the load. And
yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately I didn't watch. I had a lot of family stuff going on. I didn't actually watch the whole event. I only watched like tiny parts of it.
We still never got that information though.
Okay. All right. So I just want to
on Twitter, Martin Vieca, who's the head of IR. I don't know if it's him, but he or Elon said that they got the semi to the same weight so that you can carry the same load.
That's really good to know.
Yeah, there's no load penalty.
And only Tesla would be able to pull that off, like my first statement I made on here, through a massive amount of engineering and integration, because any other current attempt to make an EV semi has been woefully heavy, So these are some of the unknowns, but the fact of the matter is 500 miles it still isn't enough, because if you ever seen how big the fuel tanks are on those semis, they have like 2 60-gallon fuel tanks and they get 7 miles per gallon. So what's 140 gallons times 7, or 120 gallons times 7, 700, 1,000 miles. And also they use that fuel to heat the cabin for 10 hours while they're sitting there. They run the generators. So you have to actually factor in essentially like a camping mode when you get somewhere. So if you get somewhere, you have to charge for the long haul truck. So I really want to see a long haul version of this. That's what I want to see. So that's just my little bit of reservation. I was really impressed with what I saw so far. But really, this is the reason why Pepsi's buying it, because what does Pepsi do? They have local distributors, like they have a local bottling facility, and then they distribute inside of it's like a hub and spoke. So beer distributors, Coke and Pepsi, Coke, snack distributors, this is perfect for them. So I think it's really important that you think of the customers that are signing up for this are these shorter haul and delivery routes.
Got it. So like an Old Dominion or a Black Horse, like these sort of like
Or
3PL.
Warner.
Yeah, got it. Okay. So these are next generation semi, hopefully, if they're able to figure this out. Do you think it's possible? Like it, go ahead.
I was gonna say, we don't know that Pepsi is gonna use this for beverages because they own so much of Lay's and chips. Like they could be transporting much lighter loads that have full vans than a 45,000 pound load.
Yeah, that is true.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think
Are you guys planning on?
I think
Sorry,
you're
Becky.
right. Like the way bottlers work is they get the water out of the ground. You don't want to transport water until you've made it into the Pepsi or to the soda. So, once you get it to the soda, then maybe you transport some of it from there. But yeah, there's a lot of snacks.
Heck
Go ahead, Farzad, I'm sorry.
No problem at all. Is Monroe planning on tearing down a semi?
I mean, it's not currently in our plans, but I successfully crowdsourced the purchase of a Plaid, and that was 150 grand.
Y'all in the comments
selling
bought
bumper
one of
stickers. It worked, and we bought the vehicle. So
yeah. Are you thinking about starting one up for the semi?
I mean, is the sky blue? I mean, I guess I could.
Not at the moment, but it will be.
My shipping and receiving guy is named Matt. He's successfully fulfilled like 25,000 orders in the last year and a half. We've shipped stuff to like 130 countries. We finally delivered all of our 4680 cells, and I sold all of them at $800 a pop. That's like $500,000. And
Nice.
we sold all of them, and we delivered them to every single country internationally. It was wild. And it took us like 3 months to figure out shipping logistics because we're shipping a damaged lithium ion battery that's over 90 watt hours, which is like apparently super dangerous. And it ended up costing about $200 to ship internationally and $120 to ship domestically. So when people were complaining about the $800 price tag, I think our cost to extract and ship each cell was like $350 to $450 because we had 3 people working for a month. Anyways,
it's great margins, man.
Well,
we got a great margin.
We got a big operation,
Yeah, that's excellent.
Corey, maybe you don't have thoughts on it now, but we're curious about the seat in the middle of the truck. What are some negatives for that with truck drivers? What are some positives? We're wondering about other things that they experience. So like if Monroe can answer that, down the road.
Yeah. Maybe I'll see if I can get Sandy to do a video. He's in Europe right now. He's headed to Saudi Arabia. I was in Saudi Arabia about 3 weeks ago, and a lot of people gave us grief. They're like, why are you in Saudi Arabia? Oil, all this. And then a week and a half later, they announced all their plans with electric vehicles. It's like, hello, that's why we're there. And so Sandy's going to be there, I think, for about 6 or 7 days. And a lot of people complain. They're like, why isn't Sandy on the channel more? They don't realize he's the CEO of a 100-person engineering firm. And him and I travel, over 100,000 miles this year. We're traveling all the time. So anyways, we'll try and get a video with Sandy on this. And we have a few people who have their CDL licenses and have driven before. So we can have them.
Nice.
That's great.
That's going to be great data. That's going to be super interesting to hear from those folks for sure.
Is there any connection Tesla opening an office in Detroit close to you guys?
No, we actually don't work. We actually don't work with Tesla at all, and we keep it that way. Even if they came and said, "Hey, we could use your help," because we gain too much notoriety from tearing their vehicles down and disseminating the information. And when we start working with the client, oftentimes that prohibits our ability to then put the vehicle on YouTube because we know too much from the source. So it becomes, they know we know. So if we pretend that we just found out all this insight, it's like, come on, you know. So it's an odd little dance that we have to do, and we handle it okay. We need to remain unbiased though, and that's really important to us. So we refuse to take any sponsorships from tier 1s, tier 2s, or OEMs for our content. And we've been approached several times for people that want to essentially give us their product and say good things, and we refuse because we need to remain unbiased, because we think that we serve an important role educating the world about what's inside these things.
Yep,
you do.
Yeah, and you guys do a great job of that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Nicholas,
you guys do excellent.
Yeah, Nicholas, you have a YouTube channel?
Yes, I do. It's
you said
investing against the grain.
Investing against the grain. I'll have to check that out. Yeah. How many followers do you have? How many subscribers?
Just under 10,000.
He needs more.
Alarm.
It was an alarm. Was that a dog?
Yeah.
So
it's a weird channel. Yeah,
that was my dog. My dog.
Dog. I thought it was an alarm.
No, my dog is dreaming and he howled in his sleep. So sorry about that.
Oh, that's so cute.
That's cute as hell.
It is.
Oh my god. Wow. That's amazing. Go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just gonna say I have a weird YouTube channel. So I'm an engineer by trade. So my background's in mechanical electrical engineering, and now I'm a software engineer. But so I'm weird. But my channel is about investing in Tesla, and occasionally I dive into engineering things that I find interesting. I dive into. So yeah, it's a weird channel, but it's kind of just a hobby thing on the side. I wish I could do it full time. Like Farzad, he's sitting there talking about different trends and stuff he sees in the channel. I'm like, man, I wish I had time to look at all that.
Oh my god. No, Nick does a great job. By the way, shout out to the limiting factor, Jordan. I would totally bring you on, but we're probably gonna have to end this thing here because we've been going a little over almost 3.5 hours here. So probably makes sense, but we'll make sure to have you on the next one, Jordan. Thank you so much. We threw out limiting factor like 1,000 times in conversation here, so I want to say shout out Jordan. He does such great work, but yeah, let's close it up. Any final thoughts from the panel? Maybe Corey, we'll head it off to you, and then we'll go around the horn. Then Hans, Bradford, Nicholas. What are your final thoughts? Anything you want to share before we log the sucker off?
Yeah, my final thoughts are just to consider the fact that this was not a long haul truck, and so trying to rein in our enthusiasm. And not all being experts in the trucking industry. I know I'm not. I don't think any one of us on this call are. But focusing in on the technology and what Tesla's doing right. So if it truly is the same weight as a diesel engine version, that in and of itself is an incredible virtue that they've achieved. So I like to be realistic, pragmatic about my assessment, and unless I've actually seen it and torn it down, it's very difficult for me to say it's the best ever. So I like to avoid using best and ever. It seems really intriguing, and I can't wait to find out more. And maybe I will do that sticker fundraising thing and get one. Yes. And one other thing, Sandy just joined Twitter a week and a half ago, and he already has 37,000 followers, and one of them is Elon. I don't know if anyone is following that.
Son of a bitch.
Isn't that ridiculous?
And wait. What's Corey have?
I have like 6,000.
Come on, people.
I know.
Sign up.
Oh my God.
It's my name.
Let's plug him.
At Corey Steuben. That's me. Oh, there's Sandy.
So here's this handsome fella right here.
And you know, I created his account for him. I held his phone.
Those are your followers.
I took that photo. I took all those photos. I even purposefully he has bad grammar. So if you look at the word founder, I didn't capitalize it because he wouldn't. And when I tweet for him, I don't use correct punctuation. So he'll ask me to come in, and I'll, like, if you go down in his tweets, go down. I did that tweet, 300,000 views. I held it. I typed it. I did the whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah, the secret's out.
I like that
Damn.
tweet. That was a good tweet.
Yeah.
So this is Corey's main account, and then for his backup account, we go into his main account.
This is
Corey
me.
Steuben.
Yeah.
There he is.
There you go.
At Corey Steuben. Make sure you go follow him. 6,000 followers plus Sandy's 36,000. So we'll call it 42,000. How about that? We got 42,000 followers.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
The perfect amount.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you for coming on, man. Really appreciate you making the time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, brother. Hans, what are your final thoughts here? Hans.
Yeah, I think I'll kind of build on what Corey was saying. The fact that they didn't come out and tell us that the load weight was 45,000 for the 500-mile drive specifically tells me that, yeah, it wasn't a 45,000-pound load. And, you know, that's okay. But what it says is basically that long haul use case is still out of reach for the BEV. And so while we can say, you know, okay, Bill Gates, you were wrong, it was possible, maybe he was still kind of right. And so anyways, that said, I'm super excited about it. It's going to cover so many use cases. You know, there's lots and lots of routes and lots of loads, you know, either routes that are not long or loads that are not full capacity, where this truck will be amazing. I'm so glad that they're actually beginning deliveries. I'm excited to see what the ramp looks like, how many they're able to get out the door. I think that's going to tell us a lot about just the future roadmap of the company, specifically what their battery supply looks like. The fact that they are able to start shipping these in any sort of quantity tells me that, you know, they've got their supply chain locked up. And so, yeah, monitoring deliveries to kind of get some insight into the status of the supply chain will also be a big thing going forward.
Nice. And then as far as your socials go, let me just plug your Twitter here real quick. We'll make sure everybody's represented on Twitter. Hans Nelson, or Hans Nelson, apparently.
Yes.
At Hans C.
Hey,
Nelson.
that's more the traditional Hans, the traditional German spelling, but I'm an American.
Hans,
it's
okay.
Hans.
All right. There you go. Make sure you go follow him. Bradford, give us your final thoughts, my man.
Yeah, do you have that little video from John from Silicon Valley? You can pull up the link is in the chat. It's the second link from the bottom. What I noticed in that video is there's a second seat in the semi and it's on the right side. So you got a pull down seat there, and there's room for a bed, Corey. There's room for a bed. So there's going to be some accessories, people. Tesla has an amazing fan base. They're going to make a bed. Not sure how you get into it once you put a bed in there somehow. And I don't know how comfortable it would be, but they say it charges 0 to 70 in 30 minutes. You got your 30-minute break right there. 70% gets you 350 miles. That gets you to your next break. I think you could use it for long haul. So I'm curious what else is needed for long haul. Today's the start of the discussion, and I've learned a lot from points everyone made, but Farzad, you raised a lot of good stuff, and Alexandra about what Tesla didn't say, what they didn't choose to emphasize. So I'm just going to keep an open mind. But I feel like Tesla went from 0 to 1. This is an incredible truck. And I think the only thing that's going to slow them down is where are they going to price it at? They're not going to make it so that the buyer of the truck gets all the savings. Like a chunk of the savings is going to go to Tesla, and it'll be in the initial price that people pay.
Yeah, great points. Real quick plug for Bradford. If you want to follow his content, he does awesome stuff on Twitter at Brad S. Ferguson. Make sure you go check him out. And then real quick, there was a picture taken from the event with JB Straubel at the event as well. So maybe that's something. I don't know if it's anything. I guess they're just buddies. And look at Baby X has grown up quite a bit.
Nice look at that hair.
I know, right? Just freaking got the locks flowing in the wind. I love it. Thank you, Bradford. Nico, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So obviously lots of thoughts to wrap up here, but look, this is the beginning. This is not semi's done. This is the first step forward. This is just like you just graduate from college and now the real work starts. Semi is launched, it's gonna get delivered. Now is where iteration happens. Now it's where the evolution of the product happens. It's just going to get better. We've seen it with S, X, 3, Y. I mean, we've seen it with all the Tesla products. So this is just the beginning. So although we have brought up, I think, a lot of decent things on here as far as things that weren't said or ambiguity that was, seemed to be left as a mystery intentionally, maybe not intentionally, things will get cleared up. It will become less muddy and we'll understand things and they'll iterate and they'll get better and they'll get that feedback loop. And that's what engineering is all about. It's not about the end destination. It's about the evolution of things. So look forward to that. And then for anyone who's out there as an investor, don't expect this to have any movement on the stock price. Look, if Berlin, if Austin, if the stock split, if investor grade didn't do anything, this sure as hell won't do it. But at the same time, you never know when things will change. So just keep the big picture in mind, just like Tesla. It's all about the long term. It's all about the future. It's about the mission. And that's what you got to keep your ground truth at. And again, pleasure. Farzad, thank you for all of this. Bradford, Hans, Corey's pleasure to finally meet you in person or in computer, virtual land.
In person.
But yeah, but no, it's an honor to have the stage with all of you guys. So, truly appreciate it and pass it on to Farzad.
Thank you, brother. Real quick, just to plug Nick here, Investing Against the Grain YouTube channel. Make sure you go check him out. He deserves
I know you
subscribers. What?
You did this for everyone, but when you pulled this up, I wasn't expecting that for some reason. I don't know why.
What? Come on, bro.
I don't know. I just wasn't expecting that. I was like,
oh,
I wasn't expecting to see myself
as a host, bro. Come on now. Fuck out of here.
You act like it's you. I know it's the wife in the back, the real MVP of the show.
She is a real MVP. She's going to get all the shout outs in the world. Nicholas Gibbs at Nick Gibbs IAG on Twitter. Make sure you go follow him. Thank you very much for joining me. My final thoughts, I'm just so honored and blessed to be able to sit down with you guys and Alexandra and Emmett and everybody else who's ever come on the channel to talk about this stuff, to try and bring value to the listener by, getting all of us together and just have fun through this very interesting time in history where we have a company that is so passionate about engineering and creating awesome products that it has inspired so many people. And this wouldn't have been here unless we were all inspired by the things that are happening in this field. So I just feel so grateful to be part of that. I feel so incredibly grateful to have a platform to be able to share my ideas and to be able to bounce them off of everybody, you guys, the community, everybody in the comments. It feels like a dream. And truly, that's my biggest takeaway from tonight is just, I'm so thankful for all of you on the panel. I'm thankful for everybody in the comment section. Then it's just mind blowing, man. It's so fucking fun. That's what it really comes down to. It's so fun. And thank you all so much for joining me today. Seriously. Thank you very much for making the time. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys very much. All right. And producer wife, how can we forget? Thank you so much, producer wife in the background, not showing her face, we can't hear her, but she's doing all the work, except the last bit here where I brought up everybody's plugs. That was all me. I'll take the credit for that. All right. Thank you, everybody in the comments. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow for our community forum. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Hans. Thank you, Bradford. Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you, Emmett. We couldn't get Emmett back. I'm sure he's busy talking to Elon right now at the event, but that's okay. He'll tell us.
He
all
got
about
the
it tomorrow.
MVP suite.
That's right. He better. Good night, everybody. Take us off here.
Cheers.
Here we go.